And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. The host with the most, hello.
Who is that meant to be?
Whoever jumped in first.
I really like that neither of you decided that you were the host with the most. So, Tom, how are you?
Good, now the internet works.
So, let me know, because let the people at home know. This might be the first time people listen to the 40k show or watch us on YouTube. Tom, who are you? Tell me about you quick.
I don't want to generate a cult of personality, and giving away any of my details is just so important and charismatic that it'll instantly generate one, so... I'm
Good. Your backstory is too strong like Bran's.
Yeah. I've got the best story.
You've got the best story. Okay, so you're a crippled weirdo.
Yeah. I mean, neither of those two statements are actually wrong.
I know, that's great. Nikos, you? Also, hi.
Hi, I'm a 60-year-old gentleman who grew up in Norway. Only recently arrived here from a boat, and I only play bolt action.
What do you do with your bolt action chafe?
Oh, chafe is really important in bolt action.
Chafe is important in most games.
Yeah, so if a tank is driving at me, I'll just put my chafe in front of it to stop it moving.
Your chafe.
My chafe.
I feel like you're trying to say chaff.
Oh, is it pronounced chaff? Not
yes,
chafe?
by everybody.
Oh.
Yeah, unless you're on steroids.
Aren't they
just
people
heard it
who
on
live
the
in the
podcast.
streets and commit low crime?
What, chafe?
Yeah.
Chafe.
No.
Never mind.
This, by the way, we're all high as fuck on laudanum, so get ready. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here. Fulgrima, hello, Colonel Cabbage and Heinrad, and also Ruskies. Thanks for subscribing for 7 months in a row. You are literally walking around with a pair of massive kahunas. Yeah, that other people
in a
have
wheelbarrow.
Have you seen that episode of South? Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
It's not even like that. Have you ever seen? Oh my God, it's a film. So Tom, you probably won't have.
Tom has not seen it.
Tom has seen it. So one of the things you'll learn about Tom is he knows nothing about films. But this one you may have because it was starring Indiana Jones.
No.
No?
No.
You haven't seen an Indiana Jones film?
I've seen...
What the fuck?
I know, I saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Does that count?
The one with Shia LaBeouf?
Why
did you start with that one?
Why did you start with number 4?
I didn't. I've watched all of them, but I don't remember the first 3 because I was a kid. Whereas when the 4th one dropped, I was old enough to remember it, and I remembered it was garbage.
Did you read the 3rd edition Eldar Codex?
I have it in my house.
Okay, and yet you didn't watch any of the 3 Indiana Jones films.
Well, yeah, but
it's
I
fine.
Don't remember
they were the only good films George Lucas ever made.
I actually agree with that.
Well, I disagree.
You could have agreed, but okay.
No.
You disagree. Well, anyway, in that there are some swinging balls when he's in one of the temples. That's Ruskies. That's a very long point to make.
Were they not axes?
Listen, they could have been. You haven't seen it, so you don't know. Chapter Master Varrock says it does not count.
Okay.
However, Chapter Master Varrock, I don't know if you've just seen on Twitter, there's a picture of the new Primarch. Did you see that just moments before we went live?
Yeah.
It's Rob in mid-sneeze.
No, there is a picture of one of the new Primarchs live on Twitter.
Yeah.
If I wasn't live, I'd send it to you so you could find it. Please don't waste hours of your life scrolling, looking for it, for something
Have
that
you liked
isn't there. Colonel Cabbage, I'm sure the community isn't free from chafing either. That's correct. It's quite warm.
I mean, when it changes so often, there's going to be a bit of chafing.
Agreed. Camelot, evening, hello. And Archean says, 20 months he's been a subscriber.
Woohoo.
What a gorgeous man. What a gorgeous, gorgeous man. Right, so thank you to everyone on Twitch who subscribes. You guys are great. Thank you to everyone on Patreon who supports the show. You guys are wonderful. Thank you very much. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, leave a like or a comment, or leave an inflammatory comment, because my new thing is to row with people in our YouTube comments.
Yeah, yeah.
When they say things like, I'm not sure you know what you're talking about, I go, fuck off. Which I think is the right way. Is that... am I doing this PR thing correct?
Yeah, you are.
Excellent.
You're doing good.
Depends which school of thought you go.
How many schools of thought are there for PR?
I think there's Donald Trump and then everyone else.
So his school of thought is zero thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Just tweet on the toilet.
Well,
fuck that guy.
Whatever pops into your head.
Coke. Yeah. As the syphilis slowly rots his brain. Yeah. Right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. So today we've got some interesting subjects we're going to cover. There's a piece of news come directly out of out of where we all locally game in the 40k community. There is a new codex out. Very, very exciting news. Chaos Knights.
Yeah.
It's out the weekend, right?
It's out of the weekend, so we'll be having a quick chat about it today. And also, very excitingly. The ETC is not long. We have our very own ETC team member in the house.
Who can't talk about his matchup.
He can't talk about anything, that's fine. But we do have someone.
order.
So in case anyone's not aware, Tom, because people might be new, would you like to explain what the nepotistic ETC system is?
Sure, so the nepotistic ETC system is called the European Team Championships, which means it's the team championships held in Europe.
But there are teams from more than just Europe who attend.
It is.
Important
so
to
that's
note.
why it's the team championships held in Europe, not necessarily like the European championships like you have in football or... in fact, I'm not even going to give it the word soccer because it's football. And the reason it's nepotistic is because...
The American ladies won it, so it's now soccer. By the way, I'm now into only watching ladies soccer because I thought about this the other day, right? Who do I want to watch? I don't watch football anyway.
Sweaty men running around or sweaty women running around?
You've solved it for me.
There you go.
I've just realised that I was like, I've never been into sport, and now I'm like, I'm so
I know
into
why now.
sport.
It's why there's a discrepancy between beach volleyball.
Huh?
It's why there's a discrepancy between the genders in beach volleyball.
Yeah, because I only want to watch one.
Yeah, the men.
Yeah. Shit. I answered too fast, but that's correct.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So each team, each country can send one team. Sometimes you have fights, like the Greeks this year. That was kind of fun. Over which team gets to go. So, and then you end up with a selection process for each individual nation, and they just bring their own team of 8 players and a coach across to some cheap Eastern European country where they all fight, and eventually one team gets to win a crappy trophy. There you go.
Okay, so it's an 8-man team tournament.
Yep.
How many teams are attending?
So we've got 2 UN teams now, so 2 ringer teams. This worked out quite weirdly because we had an odd number of teams, so we made 1 ringer team. And then they all paid their flights and their hotel costs and what have you. And then another team dropped out, so rather than sending the first ringer team back again, we just got a second ringer team. And now both of those ringer teams are playing each other. And then I think we have like about around 30 teams in total.
Which is quite a lot.
Yeah.
So 28 from
like
nations.
30 countries,
So, and what Tom means by ringer, in case people aren't aware, is effectively a group of mercenaries. Because Tom, you previously have been a merc for different countries. The country you're currently representing this year is Wales, who's your traditional. But last year you represented
Canada.
Excellent.
And in 2016 I represented Ireland.
Okay, so you have been a long time merc.
I just hold myself out.
I actually saw you quoted in a Facebook thread the other day, which was quite exciting.
really?
Yeah.
What did I say? Was it something about...
why can mercs like Tom Layton? So, as far as I'm aware, you're the most famous merc.
That's because I merc for everyone.
Although there is a piece of gossip this year.
What have I done?
Well, no, there's a piece of gossip, as I understand it, about the English team. So as we get into more and more like live streamed events, which obviously we do on the show, that's our raison d'etre, apart from obviously shit talking on a Thursday. There's also more and more famous kind of like celebrities who play Warhammer. Nick, I'm obviously talking about you. But when I'm not talking about you, because you would never attend the ETC because you don't like... I'm right in thinking...
I'm not friends with anyone who's a captain.
But also, most importantly, you've told me you hate all of the Slavic countries.
Yes. Because of what they did to me.
Is Croatia Slavic?
I don't know.
That's racist to ask. Sinise puts, and this is probably really accurate, merc equals dead slutty.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Are you a 40k?
I really want to know.
I don't think we're allowed to slut shame on the show.
That's fine. Yeah,
No.
I own it.
We're pulling out all the trigger warnings
Merc
today.
shame, though.
Yeah, merc shame. Can you merc shame?
Is there anyone you won't play for, Tom?
Yeah, Tom, is there anyone you won't play for? No, you won't say that because then that would cause like strife.
No, there is not.
Okay.
No one you
I
wouldn't
want to
play
know what
40k
his
with.
was now, though. I want to know what his comment was.
I'll find you the link anyway.
Okay.
Like it was just referencing you as a merc.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
And to this person,
Like-
you were the chief merc.
That's fine. Like, I got approached last minute by Ireland saying, "Hey, do you want to play?" And I was like, "Okay, fine." Like, I could leave them with 7 players, or I could play for them.
Yeah. Don't worry, Tom.
Or,
You're
yeah.
the coolest. And
I know,
as
it's fine,
Arkian
like-
is saying, Sellsword is way better.
Yeah.
You're Bronn of the Blackwater.
No, they kind of...
Tom of the Tepid
They really
Water.
butchered his character. They really butchered his character in the latest season. I didn't like it.
Yeah, but you can still be Tom of the Tepid Water.
Fine.
Do you want to be? Is that what you want?
Tepid painting pot.
I don't
water.
really
The
care.
Tepid painting pot.
I
Tom of
just
the
don't, I
Tepid
just
painting
don't want a
pot.
cult of personality, so it's just like, just don't give me any names. You
Okay.
can call me like Grey Worm or something. Like,
No, I want to
like
call
the
you Tom
Unsullied.
of the Tepid pot. That makes me.
That's fine. That makes sense too. You can do that.
Unless Nick, is that okay with you?
Yeah, tepid paint pot water.
It's a really long name. Tom of the Tepid Paint Pot Water, or condensed down, TPPPTP.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We love it.
Sloppity pip
Yeah.
pop.
Red Stanley says Tom of the Hobby Crimes. Slee says Tom of the Tap Water. Higley Bear says Tom, the King of Strife, the first of his name. That's right.
I do cause drama. It's good fun.
And Archean's about to write the backstory of Tom. Oh my god, this is getting so narrative. Because most people don't know, but we're a very narrative show.
Yeah.
That's our main
All
focus.
about the story.
However, getting back to the ETC and what happens in
I
the
just want a
ETC.
theme song now.
America won last year. The US of A. Tom doesn't want to talk about it.
No.
Nick, do you want to bring it up?
Well, yeah, it was funny that Tom was criticising them for 6 months and then they won the ETC.
Well, we're now 6 months behind again.
I fucking hope so because I don't want to see him win again.
No.
They're getting way too big for the boots.
They are getting too big for their boots.
Way too fucking big
I
for the
didn't know
boots.
you were a fan of Stormzy.
No? Why is that a reference to Stormzy?
That's one of his songs, Big for Your
no
Boots.
idea.
You're not into
It's just a
urban
saying.
UK grime?
It's just a saying.
What?
Stormzy didn't make that up, you know.
No, oh, okay. I thought Stormzy made it up. You should 100% listen to that Stormzy track, though.
Okay.
I've only heard of him since Glastonbury. I'm hoping DJ Logan Sandler is listening to this, because that entire sentence will have made his brain explode.
Well, I don't know what Stormzy is.
No, not that. The thing I said, never mind. That's a UK grime reference for everyone listening at home. You just thought you were getting 40k knowledge.
You've just hit 1% of our audience.
I don't think I've even hit 1%. Anyway, America won last year, so they're hot favourites to win this year or not?
Absolutely not, no.
Okay, were they hot favourites to win last year?
No.
I'm taking this off, I'm too hot. So who are hot favourites to win this year?
I need to have a proper look at all the lists. Germany's always around there. Poland, it'll be interesting to see how they hold up against Spain, because they're playing against Spain, which is going to be really interesting. Spain are traditionally a strong team, and if Poland can beat them heavily, it shows that Poland are back. I think England are going to win the entire event.
Wow. Okay, so the big news about the reason we brought on Mercs and why this is important. And later on, we're going to be looking at 3 lists that we think are quite exciting, just because they're in a team context. We'll be having to talk about it. I'm very excited about that. The English team have got one of the internet celebrities playing for them. Is this correct?
Alex Harrison?
No, he's not. He is a criminal.
He's an internet villain, isn't he?
No, he is playing, though.
Wow.
It's not for England.
Oh, okay. So, but for England is playing an American
Who took Alex's spot?
who took his spot, and the name of that American is
Nick Brown.
Nick Brown, Nick Nanavati, Brown Magic. Some people have called him on the internet. You may have seen posts from him on Competitive 40k, and also
Plugging his website.
all other things. So what's really interesting about this is he wasn't picked for the American team, and we did talk about this a few months ago when the gossip came up. Nick, are you bothered about it at all?
Not really.
Do you want to tell me why?
Well, I'm kind of interested in the ETC because it's a big tournament. It's a really cool idea for the event, but I'm personally not invested in the England team just because I'm English.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's like
because one of them
it's
is
not
an American.
necessarily an England team representing all England.
This sounds like the cricket.
Huh?
Well, the English cricket team is full of people from South Africa.
Oh, okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Wow.
That's hot gossip.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my feelings about the England team, they're not really the England team. They're
also
a team called Team England.
And also, why did we vote for Brexit if we didn't when I voted for Brexit, didn't FYI.
I was playing in the European Team Championship.
FYI, I didn't. I specifically voted for this thing that I didn't vote for, just to reaffirm that for
You
everyone.
voted for this thing you didn't vote for.
Yeah, so that people wouldn't take our ETC spots. God damn it!
God damn it!
Yeah, how do I stop
Americans
I mean,
coming
the Americans
over.
coming over taking our spot.
Taking our they took our germs.
Take our ETC.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting.
I think the main
what
issue
do you
with
think?
that one-
What do you think about the fact? What do you think about that? We talked about it before.
So the main issue with that one is kind of England had a bunch of players who were lining up to play for them, and then they just go out and say, we'll just go and headhunt like a different player instead. It's kind of, I think it came across as quite disrespectful to those players. But personally, I really...
Who's the England captain?
Josh Roberts.
And why is he the England captain?
Because he's been the England captain ever since I've been playing competitive 40k.
Yeah. So he just inherited it.
Like, no offense. Like,
I can give insider information on the voting system that England have.
No, so hold on. Like, I think, because what's interesting is we've got an external group, me and Nikos in this situation, and you, Tom, and I don't think in any point what we're doing is we're attacking the ETC.
No, of course not. No.
But we've talked about this on the show before. We're not going to rehash that conversation. But effectively, there's a really interesting because I think the ETC did something amazing many years ago in their formation. They were like, we're going to create way before the internet, and conjoining everyone in the way that we've got now with live streaming, like we do here on the show. They were like, we're going to get everyone together and we're going to get a bunch of rules in place, and they just do this. I really and there's rules for basically everything in ETC, right?
Yeah.
Like as far as and you've made me really respect all of the institutions that have been created. I would say though the negative that we stick on top of that is that means it leaves little room for redesigning it from the ground up, which I think it would need to do to satisfy what I think I don't speak for you, Nick, me and Nick would want, which would be a more transparent system of representation for your nation. Now, I'm not particularly nationalistic, and if I was to represent anyone, I'd want to represent the French, and then I'd surrender on the first turn every turn, and then find that hilarious.
And then go to the bar.
And then I'd find that hilarious.
Serbia, man.
I'd find that hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I get picked for the team based on that, and therefore I shouldn't be picked for the team, no matter whose friend I am. So I would say that while I really respect the ETC and I think it's an amazing institution, I think there probably could be some work done to open up how people are put into teams, and I think you've accepted that before as well.
It's all on a case-by-case basis, right? So the thing with the England team in particular is, so the Merc rule is actually kind of a necessity for teams like Wales, for example, and for teams like Canada, particularly last year and the year before, and then teams like Ireland before that. When you have these smaller nations that can't necessarily get together the number of people who can afford to fly out or necessarily want to do it over a holiday, right? In that case, it's fine. The problem becomes when it is taken by larger nations who don't necessarily need to do that, and then they just say, well, it's within the rules, so we're just going to put together a super team. So one of the big discussions going on within the ETC Captains Council at the minute is they're voting on whether Merc teams, which is the UN teams made up of just players from all kinds of different nations to fill out spots, should be allowed to podium. And the reason that we're doing this is because if you allow those teams to podium, what you could do is say, oh, well, if you need a Merc team, we've got these 8 players on standby who are just going to come and crush. Yeah. So you're going to get 8 people from all kinds of different countries who are just going to try and put together like a Champions League.
You effectively could create a super team.
You could create a super team, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's one of the main issues with this kind of system, right?
But what's nice is I know for a fact in conversations with you that the EC have tried to tackle that issue, but I still don't think that internally that really gives, it doesn't, there's so much, there just isn't the openness that I would want, realistically. But then that's again because I don't think they have I don't think they have an established form of communication outside of their community.
Yeah.
But again, really interesting, and I'm really excited to see what happens at the event, see the lists, and see who wins. Especially as I love the gossip. When you come back with the goss, it's just it's just excellent, tip top goss. So I think we've covered kind of what it is, and it's happening in 2 weeks.
Oh, it's happening at the start of August.
Start of August,
so
okay.
3-4 weeks.
So not long at all. Very, very exciting. A couple of weeks before we're at the Honest Wargamer, me and Scrivo are going to be at the Capital City Bloodbath doing some 40k coverage.
That's the 18th, 19th, right?
I'm very excited about doing that. Very, very. So if you're excited about doing something, and we'll be taking the new fancy cameras, so it'll be their first outing.
Love it.
No, it'll be their second outing.
And which airport are you going through? Please don't say Manchester.
That's a great question. I'll check.
Okay.
I don't know.
If it's Manchester, you need extra layers of bubble wrap.
Oh, they're going to give him a kick in.
Bit rough.
Yeah, in Manchester, we just launch him across the airfield.
Okay. All right, so... so sorry. I just want to say that you've had a story written about you, Tom, here. Arkian says, this young man of England was shamed out of his local town for hobby crimes. He now roams the land, selling his abilities to the highest bidder in an attempt to regain his lost honour. That's you as a player.
Apart from I'm not trying to regain any honour, I'm trying to just be a dick and play games of 40k.
So you are Bron of the Blackwater.
Yeah, he don't give a shit, Bron, does he?
No, at all. At all. Tom of the tepid water. Tepid pot water.
Indeed.
Yeah, right, okay. Mamdir, also thank you for subscribing for 17 months. Ooh. Have I moved beyond knees now? Maybe a thigh. You have got to the whole leg.
So make a leg of knees.
Right to the groin.
Yeah. De Templar says, I'm the captain of the Underworld's England team because no one else wants to do it.
Underworlds has an ETC team?
Tommy?
Underworlds has an ETC team?
Yeah.
Good grief, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can play, I mean,
things you find out.
What's a Monologue. And Ross3 says, I believe it's the ATT, the American Team Championship.
ATC.
No, ATT. Or maybe it's the ATC, American Team Championship, which is...
that's happening like next week.
And they're trying to make it into a 40k esports event, which is a shame because they're not going to be able to.
No, they're not.
Because they haven't got us.
Hey. Yeah.
So, Datcom, thanks for subscribing for 18 months in a row. Right, so we got on with the subjects of the day. You guys got anything burning before we get onto the 3 subjects we're going to cover?
No, I don't think so.
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Twitch chat, any questions? Please let us know. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about, is our local gaming environment, because we're based in Nottingham, is Warhammer World.
Yeah.
The home of Games Workshop, their premier gaming hall. It's
Best place in the world to play Warhammer, according to them.
according to them, but not to us.
Where you slide down the tables.
Yes.
On your own
So if you want to listen to any of our reviews, which are not pleasant, about the actual space, then feel free. However, a spicy piece of goss has come out about them. Now, I was explaining today to someone a very interesting thing. The biggest game that Games Workshop sell is 40k.
Not Underworld.
No,
It's not Underworld.
it's not Underworlds. No,
Sucks.
it's 40k.
Okay.
Yeah, by like a third. It's huge. It's like a massive percentage of their their revenue.
Yeah.
It's absolutely vast. But the biggest form of Tom, you might push back on me on this, but the biggest form of 40k that gets played is ITC 40k at tournaments.
That is the quantifier.
yeah, at tournaments. However,
How do you define that? ITC as in Champions Pack or events that submit points to the ITC?
events that submit packs
Points to the ITC.
Yeah,
that's fine.
right. However, so there's an interesting thing, and what that is effectively a comped system. It was mainly me cussing out the rules writers in this conversation with my friend today, and then they were like, "Oh, they can't be that bad." I was like, "Their main game isn't even played the way they tell people to play it." Now at Warhammer World, introduce this segment. Do you want to tell people what's happened?
So what we've done is, because a lot of our complaints have been about the amount of line of sight blocking terrain on the boards.
Yes.
And the Heat one, someone stood up and said, "Hey, just so you know, line of sight on the ground floor is blocking Lamau," and that wasn't really quantified. So what we've done is we've sent out an email to all Heat 2 participants defining what is line of sight blocking.
LOS blocks.
The event. Yes. So if you're looking at the ruins, you know how in the Cities of Death kits, you kind of have these rectangular panels.
Right, yes.
And you glue them together and they have windows and they kind of have these like arty-farty statue shapes. Those panels are considered to be complete rectangles for the purposes of ITC blocking, which is basically what's going on here, right? So if there's like a gap between, but by each rectangle is a complete panel, I don't mean each entire side of a building is blocking. I mean if you were to take each piece that you would glue together, that's considered to be a full rectangle, and so it blocks line of sight.
Yes, so there's a picture that they've released, and it's done the rounds on the internet, so I'm sure you can see it. I think the key element to this is that they've shown you a kind of a drawn out map of where you're meant to draw line of sight from, but because they're asking me to create a box in null space, so effectively like where there's a piece of ruin, I meant to pretend that there's a piece of line of sight blocking terrain.
Well, it's just extending the bottom of the ruin out. So, for example, you've got some like little bits which are like, oh, this window's been completely destroyed and there's only a little bit at the bottom, but it's still a piece of terrain, right?
No, I know, but what I mean is, what I'm trying to get at is effectively you're asking me to create a piece of imaginary line of blocks like in front of me, But then, so I'm looking and I'm like, so if there's an actual piece of terrain in the way, I look. And I go, I reckon I can see that. Then my opponent comes around and goes, yeah, you can. Yeah, because it's not undisputable. We've all met those people. But yeah, you can see or you can not see. However, I look down and I go, right, okay, I can see that. And then they come around and go, no, this is where the imaginary line of piece of terrain would be. And then you go, well, I don't think so. And it's not that in this situation, either of those two people are being a dick. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is when you leave it open to interpretation, that's going to cause friction between people, unnecessarily to cause friction.
Which is, I think, the main issue they were having at Heat 1, right? Which is why they've now released this thing, which tells us exactly what is meant to count as line of sight blocking, and then you can have that discussion with your opponent. And then if there's an issue, you just call the ref over.
What do you think, Nick?
I think their diagrams that they've put out are quite good. Quite clearly explain what they mean, and I think what would be important for people to do if they're going to an event like that and they're not used to it, just have a discussion with your opponent beforehand, point at the terrain and go, right, what bits block line of sight here? And then as you're moving models, placing them, state your intent as you're moving it. Say, right, if I move this here, and ask your opponent, can I see you from this position? Before you finish placing your model.
Like the film Now You See Me and Now You See Me Too. You haven't seen that film? They're not good. They're not worth it. No, don't worry
That's
about
why I'm
it.
not seeing them.
They're not Indiana Jones. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, so just like talk to your opponent. Ask them, can I see your thing from here? Yes or no before you finish placing it. So then you're both on the same page. So there's not I finish my move and then start your shooter phase, and then your opponent goes, ha ha ha, you can't see me from there. Lol.
Good ban.
So yeah. So
Got
just
them.
play with intent and explain what your intent is when you move.
So we've all been to the Warhammer World heat. We've been to the heats, right?
Yep.
And we played on their terrain. Our criticism is that there's no line of sight blocking terrain.
Like,
So
very limited.
Well, it's very limited. This seems like a really positive step for me. It does feel that way.
Absolutely. I think it's a good step. I like it.
But yes, so it does feel like it's a positive step. However, Tom, because we talked about this a little bit off air, specifically in the group, Nick, your thoughts were that obviously
Just make better terrain.
I mean, that's pretty key. And Tom, your thoughts are, and which is fair, not to speak for you, they're already selling out every time. Why wouldn't you
Just sell it rather than put it on your boards when you're already making out max money.
can I just say a massive shout out to Clemmy B and Bexy, big love, two of my favourite Revolution bar staff members. Sorry, continue.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just they're just watching the show, and that's real sweet of them. That's real. They're quite tall.
So am
people.
I. So am I.
Anyway, so it's exciting that they're trying to do something about it, but when they make £7,500 an event,
Do they need to?
roughly,
Yeah.
like they've got the financial capacity, as well as the fact that they make millions of pounds on top of that. They've got the financial capacity to make it a premier gaming event. Like, while it's a nice change, it's a change to their core rules, which they haven't got inside the core rule book either.
No.
What do you mean?
No, it's just
Like so,
just
it's
for event,
it's a house rule for their Warhammer World event.
Yes.
But it's not a house rule that's applied into the core rules. It's not a beta rule.
No.
It's not in the FAQ. So I'm Jimmy and I've got the two people who I talk about most. These are the two people who I run the show for. It's Jimmy and it's Pete. And Jimmy and Pete, they live in Idaho, and they live on a very small farm, and they've seen Warhammer online, and they've bought some, and they play in their barn. They live in a very idyllic kind of part of Idaho. Superman lives next door, right?
Yeah.
And they go cow tipping, I imagine, but they're rogues. It's fine. They're
sounds
just
like-
boys.
sounds like fun.
Yeah. Like Brock Lesnar. No, Turner. I don't know the difference. So I did know the difference between both of those. I thought that was fun. Anyway, they don't know about this line of sight blocking thing. So number one, do we think that level of line of sight blocking is needed in the game?
I think it's needed at these events.
So it's needed. Do we think it's needed in 40k?
Well, it's context based, right? If you don't have enough terrain, then
Tell people about that.
So if you don't have enough line of sight blocking terrain, you have these ruin things, then you might as well make it line of sight blocking terrain, right? So you can
they're compensating for their
lack of terrain.
not particularly functional terrain at the event with an additional rule.
Yeah, is it better?
Which
than,
is the whole,
yeah.
which is why ITC did it in the first place anyway, because not enough people had enough line of sight blocking terrain.
Right. Yeah.
And it was a nice initiative.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. But it's an initiative that's been going for 7-8 years, maybe. So it's
line of sight blocking ground floor?
Yeah.
It's been going not quite that long. Maybe like 2.
No,
years,
it's longer
3
than that
years.
because I was at Adepticon 3 years ago. Not Adepticon, LV 3 years ago. It was there.
Yeah, so 2-3 years.
Well, 3 or 4, I think.
Okay. You can go for that.
So I think. But anyway, so a positive step. Excellent.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Positive step. But I actually think that it's a very odd step to take because now other events around the world. Are going, do we implement that? Like, is that a core rule now in 40k? Because it's very different to what is not in the core rulebook.
I mean, you've been doing that for a while, though, right? They've been saying, oh, well, you don't have to use the beta rules, and then everyone uses the beta rules.
Yes, but they haven't announced this in any form of publication unless you're an attendee at their own event.
In which case, it's an email. Yeah.
So now, where do we sit? Like, me and Nick play a game tomorrow, right? Here in the studio. And we got a bit of, we buy their actual terrain, and we put it together, and we built it and painted it, and now we're going to play a game. Is my bottom floor line of sight blocking?
Yeah.
Or is it not?
I mean, it is different departments, though, right? You've got the events team and you've got the rules team.
Agreed.
So maybe
Also,
the rules team comes out and says, hey,
but I advocate only for the players. Like
Yeah,
I don't
of course,
advocate
that's
for
fine.
the company.
No, of course.
So that's not like, and I'm not asking
I
you.
can
I'm not asking
understand
you
why
to
it's a different,
Yeah, I'm not asking you to defend either. I'm just asking you guys to go. Do you think there's a good line of fit that we could suggest to the people at home?
If you don't have enough terrain, use line of sight block and ground floor. If you
think?
don't, Lamau.
Nick?
If you're playing at home, you either building your own scenery or you're buying scenery. Depends how seriously you take the game. If you're just a casual player, you just buy cool looking terrain. You don't really care what it is. But if you're like a competitive player, and you want to practice for competitive events.
Well, it
Then
depends on the event. Though,
build or buy
yeah.
enough pieces that are nice, big line of blocking terrain that you
And
expect to see.
Yeah, this is one of the interesting things that BTC did this year. So one of the problems I had last year was turning up and my army couldn't move on the boards because we didn't know what the terrain was going to be like.
At the ETC.
At the ETC.
Yeah.
And what we've done this year in response to that is they've released 8 maps. So a map for each of the tables on each row, because all the rows are homogeneous.
Yeah.
Whereby you can now see what the boards are going to be like, and therefore practice with those boards. So it's like, okay, this one's a crater, and this one's a 2-floor line of sight blocker, and this one's a 1-floor line of sight blocker, and then you can just prep your own table so you know exactly what to prepare for, right?
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like,
Yeah,
again, kudos to the ETC as always. So that seemed like a good system. I just wonder, like number one, it's kind of like that we could go down the route of like bemused kind of like mocking and be like, you are just stealing something, like design your own game better. But we've done that too many times. It's too easy. Like, I don't want to have to, like... It's Nick who punches kids, not us. Like, we don't need to do it all
We need
the
to
time.
ship some more terrain to the events.
Not all of us need to do it.
No, not all of us need to do it. We don't all need to do it. So,
There's so many children.
I just kind of like thought I'd ask questions around it. I see it as a positive change, but I do think that they should just do a better job at their event.
As in get more terrain in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got an email this week from going to Heat 1 where I qualified saying, you've been invited to the Warhammer World Grand Finale, offering me the link to buy the ticket. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Congratulations.
very much.
On another £65 offer.
Yeah, so and I emailed them back and I said, will you be using Warhammer battle boards, and will you have something about more functional terrain or something like that? And I've not yet to get a response, because basically I'm not sure whether I want to bother going to that tournament because the quality of boards. And it was are you going to use Warhammer battle boards at the event, and is there going to be increased space between the rows of tables and also between the tables themselves?
Your big booty needs some space.
It's not that. It's just we're paying a premium price to go to a poorer standard gaming environment than an independent scene offers for less money.
And it's worth asking those questions.
An independent scene, like I know the Hellstorm guys don't run the have the building that they're running their event from, but their event that I'm going to in a couple of weeks' time is £50, so it's 15.
Is it Sanctuary Gaming Centre?
Yeah, it's 15 quid cheaper than Games Workshop, and it's at Sanctuary. Obviously, they're not in charge of that building, but Sanctuary Gaming Centre has.
But that's also an important point, right? So Hellstorm Wargaming, like if anyone buys anything in the shop or in the cafeteria from Sanctuary Wargame, the Hellstorm boys won't see any of that money.
No.
So, and I imagine they would have also had to pay to rent the space.
Yeah.
Like,
there's some sort of charge per head, I think.
Yeah, neither of which, like Games Workshop have to do. If you buy anything in the shop, it's their fucking shop.
Yeah.
And if you buy anything in Bugman's, it's their money too.
And that's part of the appeal of coming, right? Because you've got so many exclusive products at Warhammer World, and then you've got the Forge World store as well.
You could go there anytime.
You could, but if you're from London or something, and you're like, I'm not going to drive all the way up to Nottingham to go to the Forge World store, but if there's a heat, it's part of the draw, right? Maybe I'll come up for an event and then I'll like.
You make a good point. Like, yeah, you make a good point. Like the actual environment, ignoring everything
it's
other
part
than
of the selling point.
Yeah. Sorry, Nick, you were saying.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, comparing those two events, like at Sanctuary, they have Rubber Battle. I think the Hellstorm guys bring some of their mats as well.
But
even if they
mats.
didn't, Sanctuary do have some mats, and they just have flat tables anyway, which is better to play on the Rubber Battle boards, and they've got loads of great terrain, and there's loads of space.
Yeah.
Whereas compared to the Games Workshop ones, we've banged on it about a lot. Like, you crammed in, they dedicate almost as much of the hall to people just playing for free. So one really bad experience I had was at a doubles event where
So I've got even more people at the table.
Twice as many people. They've got twice as many people going,
Yeah.
and they didn't think, there's going to be twice as many people in the hall. Let's make some more space. Like half the hall was for the tournament, half the hall was for free gaming. So we've paid as much as the people playing there for free, and we had as much space. Whereas I think if you're running a tournament for that many people, you should accommodate the space for them to make it comfortable so they have a good time. Like, I had a good time at the tournament, enjoying playing with my friend and having those games, but the really restrictive, cramped space I was in had a negative effect on my enjoyment of the tournament.
And again, if you're listening from anywhere around the world, like realistically, the impact on you is pretty minimal unless you're traveling over. But like, it's for me and Nick especially. Like Tom, you don't have to travel particularly far either.
No, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah. Which for most people, like especially in some of the larger countries,
local shops.
That's not even that far at all. Whereas I have to travel like all of 10 minutes to go to Warhammer World from where I live.
And like for just going back to the space issue, you need a lot of stuff to play Warhammer.
Especially for playing orcs.
Your boxes, all your stuff, all your codexes, all your dice, your tray, and everything. And think about the LCO that we did. How much space did they have in that room?
Enough for me to walk down the aisles.
So much space. Like, how much of a better environment is that to play in than being rammed into a little hall?
Yeah, it's far better. But I've said this time and time again. The independent events are particularly good. And maybe you're right, Tom. They have to make their events good because they don't have a natural draw. However, I also like the competitive nature of the heats is much lower than independent events in my experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
So like it's like a double down realistically. So it doesn't feel like a premier gaming environment.
It depends what you want. Sometimes you want to just queue up for a game and smash bots.
That's true. Might have to explain that out. Let me see what the guys in the Twitch chat are saying. Russ says Games Workshop make so much money that they could put out terrain that has the ability to create building ruin that includes a bottom floor line side blocking system.
But why would they
still play money for it? Yes, because Tom's point is they're already making money, so why would they fix a problem that they don't think that they have?
And it doesn't give them any more money to do that, right?
Yeah, but that
unless they increase the price.
We all agree that obviously is like backwards thinking because that's old school economics. Like new economics is what do my customers want? I'll provide them that service because that's actually good. But we'll get onto that later. In Defense Games Workshop terrain says low key kits they can be made up as line of sight blocking. The problem is the Warhammer World hasn't changed the terrain in years. Dinos says they have included a lot of the new Sector Mechanica stuff, which is a lovely terrain.
I mean, I've just made this change, which isn't physical, but it does change the rules of the terrain, right?
Yeah. There's and then Dinos says, "What the actual fuck? I don't have time to watch, but I saw the thumbnail with Rob's head in it, and I had to come in and say, what the fuck? You look like someone who could work at my company.
What company do you work at?
And it says, must do work on the Tinder, and now I'm confused about, A, what Dionysus does, and also, what does he do?
Is he a professional Tinder stormer?
What does he do, Nick?
I think he works for, I think he's a salesman. He's told me a couple of times.
But what does he
Does he meet people on Tinder and sell
What
them
does
things?
he sell?
I think it's an IT company. I think it's something to do with software.
And then everyone's saying that I think maybe people commented on my new hair, but it's not really my new hair. It's I've got the flu hair.
You're not wearing a hat here.
Yeah, this is what I look like without a hat. I wear this to protect everyone.
This is why Rob wears a hat.
Yeah, we'd be too famous if I kept the hat off all the time. Like
Nikos needs to get a good anime hairstyle as well.
Plus, we had Gay Mark on Monday, so we've already represented.
And this happened.
we've already represented the community at large.
It's like him coming in with his Chinese. I'm not even sure what he ate, but.
Huckabee says, me and Paul drive from Northamptonshire. Sorry, it's about an hour and a half, and the amount of people that drive several hours games, which should do more. Coming up from Plymouth, the draw of the heats is certainly the venue, says Camelot, which is a fair point. Well made, Tom.
You used to live in Northamptonshire. That's cool.
But did he? But when he got there, was the venue? Did the venue live up to its expectations? I'd be interested to find out.
Yes, that's a good point. And he says also we have nothing competitive tournament-wise until you hit Bristol. It's hard down here. Dinos is something you look like a normal person.
Don't you have a Pompey Pillage? Is the Pompey Pillage not still running?
Potentially, but great conversation for a staff welfare, actually, I think. Penguin 2000, they had people building terrain at the New Year open day, supposedly to be used in the hall. # free labour.
Yeah, they did.
Not just that, you pay to enter the open day.
They were doing another thing the other week.
Please, this is a story I don't know, and this is amazing.
Okay, so I was at Warhammer World a couple of weeks ago, and they had a speed building challenge. where you could sit down at a table for an hour if you wanted to and build as many Space Marines as possible.
Okay. And you get to keep them?
Nope.
No. I imagine.
Do you guess what that's for? A fucking diorama in the Warhammer World Museum.
Did you use your own glue, or did you have to use it?
No, yeah, they supply everything.
How much money?
They are cheeky bastards, aren't they?
They are such thieving.
Do you want to sit down and work for free for an hour?
Yeah, come and build Space Marines.
I don't like building my own army. Never mind someone else's.
It's effectively how they interview people for jobs.
Are you willing to do slave labor?
Yeah. So if you apply for a rules writer, like my friend Andy applied for a specialist rules writing position at Games Workshop, and they basically ask you to write a load of rules for them.
Yeah.
For something that's coming up.
Oh my god.
So you want this job? Do like this bit of work for us, and we'll.
Yeah, they did that with Black Library writers. I applied for a Black Library writer role once.
Yeah. Big shout out to all of the senior development managers at Black Library. You're all doing wonderful work.
Apart from me, not hiring me.
Specific shout out, by the way. It's very specific. Don't worry.
I didn't get a job.
Oh, you didn't get a job at the Black Library?
No,
that's weird.
No,
that's weird.
I was like 21.
One of the senior guys might have.
Huh?
Ask him why.
Why?
Why didn't you hire me?
Yeah, why didn't you hire Joe?
For my narrative writing.
Oh, you are very.
I can turn anything into a story. Found some crystals in Woolworths. That's a model.
And Dennis says, on topic, you guys will love the terrain at the Amsterdam GT.
Nice.
Which I agree. I think those guys do great work over there. Everything I've ever seen. And then Russ says, I reckon all the build sessions for the APOC dioramas. And then Russell says, I've come up from London with mates for doubles, and before it was something really special, but now it feels so mass produced, so it doesn't feel quite as nice. Yeah. All right. So number one, in our local gaming tournament space, which is Warhammer World, like it's a good change.
Yes.
Right. However, I feel like you have to put caveats in. Number one, they could just do better terrain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's just
to keep your customers happy, so they keep coming back.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you'll run out of customers at some point.
I don't think they ever will, though.
If I've been going to a bunch of heats, right, and I'm just like, well, I'm just kind of bored of spending 65 quid for this event, I just won't come. If that happens to multiple people, you'll just run out of people, right?
Well, like it makes me
constantly improving.
It makes me not buy tickets in summer.
Right, there you are then.
Like I'm like, nah. Like I was looking at some of the I was looking at my schedule, and I was looking at like when they had events, and I was like, you're not getting any money off me till like November time. Maybe like you'll get me for those sort of like periods of time, but you're not getting me when it's hot outside because it's ungodly inside. But then like the thing I was going to talk to you guys about off air, never mind. I'll just tell you on air because it's for everyone. Like realistically, like there just needs to be more TOs. Like 40k, I think 40k in the UK is like. I'll give you an example. Like we have a worldwide calendar for all of the AOS events that occurs around the world. Yeah. And it's packed. But for AOS now in the UK, it's effectively there's an event every weekend. And I'm talking like 60, 70, 80 people with like people just putting them on. And I think 40k could absolutely be there. Like I think it so could be. And I think about the Hellstorm guys and how much hard work they're doing to putting on events. I reckon there could just be more and more.
I'm not sure if that's. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that, and it might just be because I'm not sure how much you've seen of 40k events, right? So this weekend past, we had Warzone Man, we had the Isles of Convenience GT, and we had the Bristol City GT. On the next weekend I can think of, that is the 22nd, 23rd of July, we have the North Wales Open. We have
big shout out to Chris.
Yeah, big shout out to Chris. We have the Hull's Angels GT, and we have Caledonian Revolution. On 2 weeks after that, we have the ETC, we have Mikey's event, and we have another event in Bristol, I think, as well.
Oh, so there is.
And these events aren't all just conglomerating on the same weekends because they fancy it on that weekend. They're doing it to try and avoid other certain clashes, right?
Yeah.
So there are these events going on. I'm just not sure how well the publicising of it goes because a lot of the time it's just people running an RTT and they want to.
I think that's the issue.
I don't particularly know where to go to find out where these events are.
Tom, I reckon that's something we could do on the show.
Yeah, right? we could even do a proper events announcement.
Done. That's something that we'll do, right?
Yeah.
At least locally for us, because I think that will help.
We could even do like a 30-minute show of like what events are coming up this weekend.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Okay, so that's excellent as well. Interesting conversation. So a positive step, but they could do better. Yeah? No? Or do you guys...
It's a step forward. I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, good. Twitch chat, I'm interested in what you guys think. I think it's interesting, personally. Do I think? But it's not the invisible boxes, like the indestructible boxes of ITC.
The mystery boxes.
Yeah.
I do think they do have some mystery boxes, but sometimes when you can't put models in them, you just say, "Is this impassable, mate?" And most of the time, people just say, "Yeah."
Okay. All right. So. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Nick, does that make you more willing to play? Because you didn't finish your thought. You emailed them and said,
yeah, so I emailed them saying, are you still going to have Roma battle boards? And is there still going to be the same amount of space as usual? And depending on what they get back to me, I don't think they'll get back to me at all, personally.
I don't think
Is it a no reply email account?
I had like an automatic response saying, thank you for your email. It will be checked. This email box is checked every blah, blah, blah.
Oh, is it the same place you send FAQ questions to?
Yeah, directly to the shredder. Yeah, so I don't think they'll get back to me, or they'll just say, I don't know what they'll say, some BS about their products being used. I don't know.
Guess we'll find out though. Yeah.
I might still go because it's a local event. It's easy to go to for me. It's 15 minutes away. That's literally the only reason I'll go.
Yeah, I don't think they've got a huge catchment area realistically, Tom, and I don't think they have any major competitors. That's the key element, realistically. Or, and this is really important, the major competitors are already oversubscribed.
Yeah.
So you don't have, like... and while that might sound like...
Warhammer World to the overflow car park.
Effectively, like, or it's not, but, like, what I'm trying to say is like, no one's pushing it and going, right, like, here's a... Like, if every event for 40k is sold out every weekend, have more or bigger. Right, like that would be my key element, and like
increase supply.
Yeah, and if you're out there listening, there's a big market there to make money. Like that's not an event I ever want to do. It's not a thing I want to do. But there's
if you're listening, shut up and take my money.
Yeah. If you're listening, do something good. I want to go. Yeah. How hard is that? Yeah. Hello. That doesn't happen in any other medium, by the way. Like there isn't like everyone is hustling in every sort of environment in the world. Then in Warhammer, there's literally people like, I'd really like to go to a good event, put one on, and then everyone's like, no, I don't want to make any money. Fuck that. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah.
No. There's a gap in the market.
It is hard work to do a Warhammer tournament, though. I think.
No, it is.
We've ran 2 maximum 20 people tournaments, and that was hard work.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
Running a massive event is a lot of work.
Tetra says a couple of months back they changed back to book tables. Myself and loads of others turned at Warhammer World with no tables to play on, and some drove up from London. It was brutal. Yeah, so you couldn't book tables to play at the weekends.
Yeah.
And the Dynasty says, got to say, the chance of me going to Warhammer World is small, though the terrain rules have increased the chance slightly. Fair point. All right. And also Camelot said certainly better than doing nothing at all. So. Interesting steps. Interesting steps from a Baldric-like company, and I'm excited to see the future. I still hate Rome Battle Boards, but never mind.
Just put more flock on them so we don't slide down.
It does make me think. Like honestly, what's really interesting about it is it makes me want to create like different armies. Like it's the same with like battle plans, missions, or like compacts. Like I look at any of those things and I go, right, I'm going to have to put an army together to fit into that environment. I think about Rome battle boards and I'm like, okay, not lots of models.
Yeah.
Fuck
just
that.
A few tanks that have big bases that are relatively stable.
That aren't going to slide. Yeah.
So not Imperium Rhinos.
No, and never.
Anything on a skimmer base.
Just basically, also nothing that's going to move. So a gunline car park.
So Razorbacks.
Or those new tanks.
Yeah.
The Calidiuses. Hideous. They do move around.
The Hideousiuses.
The Hideouses.
Hideousiuses. It's a good name. Yeah. I think Warhammer World is a destination event. They rely on the scene rather than being super competitive in ICC format, for example, which I think is true. Dennis is also the problem with events isn't that no people show up, but that there are almost no large venues to play at. That's also a good point as well.
Yeah, I think we struggle.
It's in the UK
in England a lot.
Yeah. Like in America, you have these events in like big hotels, but
they're just
they're just
mad.
Mega hotel.
Just every venue that they have is just dumb big. Rob Edwards, 40k says the Heats are most likely people's first exposure to competitive 40k. It was to me 10 years back, lol. Then my guess is people either drop out of comp 40k or move into the independent 40k comp scene. But isn't that, Rob? And my question to you guys: wouldn't you say that that's, for me, I think it's a bad representation of the competitive 40k scene?
That's what I did. I don't really know what you mean by bad representation.
Pardon me?
What do you mean by that?
Sorry, I mean that it might not be the best environment. Like if you wanted to sell competitive wargaming to someone,
oh yeah,
like tomorrow, would you take them to a Warhammer World event or would you take them to an independent event?
Independent event every time.
Right, so I'm not sure it's about necessarily selling people. Like I was already. Oh, sorry, I'm shouting into it a little bit.
No, it's not that.
Oh.
Shirt's
Oh, yeah.
wild.
That was intentional.
Tom's slowly undressing.
Yeah. I think when you're spending that much money on an event, you're already kind of pretty sold in competitive 40k, but you're not necessarily confident enough to go to an independent event and get your ass kicked, right?
Pardon me? Yeah, no, I don't think it's not that I don't know. For me, one of the coolest things about events is the people you meet and the environment.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just more relaxed. I keep thinking about my time at either the Hellstorm events or the LCO, which are some only independent 40k events, but fantastic in my experience. And one of my very good friends, Mark Wildman, he went to Battlefield Birmingham and he said that's a fantastic
Battlefield
event.
Birmingham is great.
And he said it was a fantastic event as well.
That was my first independent event, and I'm glad I went to that one first because Harry does a fantastic job at Battlefield Birmingham.
So
really, really good.
But I just don't hear that from Leeds. I don't hear that sort of going, I had a fucking cracking time. Maybe they do. I don't know.
I think because I can't remember who said it earlier in the chat, it feels mass produced. Like it doesn't feel like there's an individual touch for people attending.
That's a good
I
point.
mean, it's not like a
events.
labour of love like Battlefield Birmingham.
No, exactly. Like independency and like it's like a tournament is someone's baby that they've grown for several years, and it's like a thing now in the community, and they really love putting it on, and they want to do the best they can. And the Warhammer World events, they're just churning them out. Like, you bought your ticket, this is what you're getting.
It was like
there you go.
After the finale, I was talking to Brad Glover, and he was like, "Oh yes, I'm going to a doubles event at Warhammer World next week, and the week after I'm going to an AOS GT Heat at Warhammer World, and then the week after I'm going to." It's like every weekend.
But there's big prizes for doing hobby, and he does excellent hobby, right?
Yeah.
Like at those events.
Well, you say there's big prizes. It's a big trophy.
Yeah, that's true. Price support's pretty weak there as well.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh my god, we could go on about this forever.
Yeah, we could. We should
Anyway,
probably stop.
it's their own fault for releasing something which we've all agreed is a positive step.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've all agreed.
And then we just went, "Oh, but this isn't great."
Anyway, Hermanista, thank you for subscribing for 4 months. And then Rob Edwards says the only selling point is the venue, and I would agree with that.
And even venue.
Apart from playing in the venue.
Yeah.
Apart from
Not
playing
to
in the
sell-
venue,
Yeah.
the venue is
Yeah,
here.
and the venue is
That
cool.
is a selling
Playing
point.
in the venue sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
It's when you smash someone, go to Bugman's early.
Bugman's is pretty cool.
Bugman's is pretty cool.
Bugman's is pretty fucking cool.
I do like Bugman's.
And I also like the
staff.
The staff are also
staff are
excellent.
all really
All
good,
the
yeah.
staff are excellent. There's no criticism
Shout
of
out
the
to
staff.
JJ.
No.
Yeah, big shout out JJ if you're listening.
Just before we move on from the heats, can I just give someone a shout out who came up to me at
You
Heat
can shout
1?
out anyone you ever want.
Just give a shout out to Jake, who came up to me at Heat 1.
Yeah.
Said that he just came up to me, said he's a big fan of the podcast.
I need to give out a shout out to Innes and Tess. Yeah, and we're done.
And what do they do?
Innes is the Scotland guy.
I know who's. I've met Innes. He
You've
looks
met
kind of
Innes.
like a baby.
He does look kind of like a baby. This is true. And Tess Yoxall is a 40k player. He plays a lot of tournaments, and he's kind of like Liverpool way.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good dude.
But why do they need a shout out? Jake came up to me at a tournament, shook my hand and said he thinks our podcast's great.
Yeah.
He said you're good at 40k.
You
He said Rob's really charismatic, and he said I was the best one in his favourite.
I'm really what?
So you're saying that we're not charismatic,
I'm
and
really
you two
what?
are good at 40k?
I'm what? Oh, that's nice. Tell him thanks. I don't mind being the charismatic second favourite.
Tess
But he said
nice
I was
things
his
as well.
favourite and the best one all round.
That's
so-
fine
That's
with me.
fine. Yeah, okay, right.
I like how you were like, I'm going to say this, and we were like, whatever. Hermanista, I'm glad he's taking time out. Give me them glass trophies long. I agree, Hermanista, talking about Brad taking a break. And then Alan Dross says, don't hurt babies. Talking about you, Nick. Don't punch their babies.
I'll try not
Right.
to punch you in this.
What secret word can I fit in as a nod to the Honest Wargamer?
Into your list.
No, I think he's just talking about like, he's
when he goes on Warhammer Live.
Yeah, he's going. If you're going on Warhammer Live, what things can you do as a nod to the Honest Wargamer?
Say something about stabbing in someone in the knee or something.
all
Crystals.
the time. There's loads of options.
Yeah.
Like we'll get
Just get them all in.
Yeah.
All of them.
Or if anyone ever says like how long you've been playing, just be like, I've been playing like 12 years. I've always been a pretty honest wargamer. Just say that every time.
Yeah.
Every time you get interviewed, just go, I've always been a pretty honest wargamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easiest one.
You can do.
Because you all are. That's the point. It's not me. I'm not the honest wargamer. We all are.
Okay.
We're working for the honest wargamer, who's this kind of gestalt image
Yeah.
of the hero that we need.
You haven't met him yet. He's like Lord Snoke on.
Yes, he's a bad guy though.
Well, I don't know what kind of good guy. Like
Mr.
name it-
Mannering's wife.
Mr. Mannering's wife.
Have you ever watched Columbo? Columbo's wife? Because you famously never see Columbo's wife.
I have not watched Columbo.
Fuck. or talked into the microphone in a long time.
I have. I just shout. Look, see. Is that better for the sound levels? Do you like that?
Right.
Is that good?
So that's an interesting and excellent change. Next up, we're going to talk about 3.
Oh, you looked at me, so it means it's.
We're looking at 3.
All right.
Okay.
40k.
Yeah.
ETC lists. Before we get into it, Nick, you played in the team championship format. Were you about to go?
I was about to go for a massive shit.
I don't say that live on the... Okay, well, too late now. Off you go.
Off you go. Enjoy your shit.
Au revoir. Oh, stop saying the word. It's terrible for the TV. Right.
All right. I'm going to save this one because I think
Arkham makes a good
like
point.
it.
Bad is a point of view. Snoke was good to some people.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm going to save the first one because I think Nikos will quite like it.
Yeah.
The second one, though, is...
Oh, hold on. You can answer my question for the listeners before we
Alright.
get on to that element. And that question is, what is it that, like, what's interesting about... You have to talk about this year, you can talk about other years. What's interesting about building team-based lists as opposed to individual-based lists?
So one of the things I found that's quite interesting with Orcs is that a lot of the Orc lists that are currently at the event are quite different.
Yeah.
And that's because Orcs are one of those lists where there isn't necessarily one build that stands out above the others, right?
Yeah.
And what you can end up doing with Orcs is you can build towards gaps in your pairings. And what I mean by that is the way you pair lists against each other. So it's basically like 8 1v1s.
Yeah.
But you have to work out who's playing against each other. And there might be certain lists where you don't have very many lists that can deal with it.
Yeah.
For example, Knights, right? So you can take your Orc list and go, my alpha camera side. Okay, I'm just having issues with this box underneath. I can't actually roll my chair under.
Okay, alright.
So it's fine.
That's okay.
So what you end up doing with the Orcs is you say, okay, well, I build a list for Orcs that can beat Knights, and I'll try and get that paired into the Knight list, or at least try and force the Knight list away from something else, right?
Yeah.
So you end up utilizing the Orc faction, because you still build like a decent all-rounder list, even if you built towards anti-Knight, right? So you might not take a list like this specific one to singles, but you'll take it to VTC because it does something for your team that the other list would not do.
Yes. So an example might be you might have a very combat orientated list. You might have a very shooty orientated
Or something
list.
that's oriented to getting rid of particular types of units. Like, for example, if I have 18 smasher guns, that's going to be more geared towards destroying Knights than 6 smasher guns, right?
Yeah.
But maybe you don't need to kill Knights, in which case you can take your 6 smasher guns and spend your points elsewhere. Or you can take the 18 and then now you've got something that can deal with Knights.
Yeah, so these team composition lists are usually quite interesting because they're generally even more polarized than you would necessarily find in a basic singles 40k list, which is apparently an all-comers list, but they're not really that.
No.
They're just the best of the best taken in triplicate, right?
Kind of.
Huh?
Speaking of taking in triplicate, shall I go through the first list?
Let's do it.
All
Wait,
right.
who is it and where's it from?
It's Nick Rose,
Nick
my boy,
Rose, yeah.
who has also merged for Wales, but he's playing for Team USA because he's American.
Wow.
And he's taken an Orc list I wrote back in March,
Okay.
kind of similar. Doesn't have as many Gretchen in it as mine did, though. So this one, it's got a battalion detachment of Goths, and it has a Gazgul Fracker.
Right.
It has Big Gaz.
Big Gaz.
It has a weird boy with the jump, and then it has a squad of 20 Gretchen, a squad of 30 Gretchen, and a squad of 30 Gretchen. That's 80 Gretchen. Then it has a mixed Orcs battalion, which has 2 weird boys. One has Warpath and one has Fist of Gork, and they're freebooters. And then you have 3 squads of 30 Gretchen. So that's another 90 Gretchen. I hope you're keeping track. So that's 170 Gretchen. You then have Mad Doc Grosnick, who's
to, you're doing
Death
it.
Skulls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gives Feel No Pain to the Gretchen.
Nice. So that would be an after damage save.
Yeah. And then he has a battalion detachment with a big mech with the souped up shocker, which is a big shock attack gun, but either pops off or does nothing.
Calm down.
Yeah. He's then got Captain Badruck, which is spelt wrong. He's then got a war boss with a custom shooter and a power claw. He's then got 3 squads of 30 Gretchen. So that is now up to 260 Gretchen. He's got a runt herd to stop them from running away. A war banner to give them +1 to hit. A death copter with a twin big shooter on it for capturing maelstrom
feel
objectives.
about that, Nick?
Oh. Well, I
And he's got
built one yesterday, so I feel pretty good about it.
10 flash gits with 2 ammo runts. So what you've got there is all those Gretchen have +1 attack
Uh-huh.
because of Gazgul. They've all got +1 to hit because of a war banner. They're fearless because of a run herd. and they get 6 up.
The whole army's fearless.
DPR. Well, because you can string them back to
Right,
within
yeah.
range of the runt head, right?
It's gonna be like so the octopus head is the runt herd, and then all the tentacles are the tentacles of grots spreading out. From it.
Hydra.
Yeah.
Hail Orctra.
It's like-
That's gonna be confusing as fuck. To
in
play.
that first episode of Game of Thrones of the Umber kid who's on the wall? I mean,
Yeah.
got those bits of like,
Yeah,
and it's like spreading out. That's what it's going to look like. Except the kid is all of his characters,
Yeah.
and the arms are just Gretchen.
I feel like anyone with a vinegar assassin is gonna fuck that list over.
Kind of, but probably then have is if you have a Vindicator assassin, you've probably got a Death Watch list, right?
I don't know.
So you'd be using that. You'd be using that on one of the characters, and I'm going to Grot Shield.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
then you just shoot the flash kits. So then
Yeah.
you need some long range firepower because you're going to be fanning out so far. It depends on the deployment, of course. If it's Dawn of War, it's easier. And if you're Death Watch, it's really easy. So I think Death Watch with Assassins is really bad for this. But it really beats planes up because the planes can't go anywhere. Yeah. I think it's quite good
So
into
it's
Knights
pure
as well.
board control as a list.
I think it's quite good into Plague Bearers, but Chris Haynes disagrees. Because when you just walk up and you say, okay, well, you're charging one unit at a time, you're killing a unit of Gretchen. Good job, mate.
Right.
10 out of 10. So yeah, I
So
thought that was
the
quite
other thing
interesting.
that you have to remember when we're talking about the ETC missions is not only is it the Games Workshop chapter approved missions,
Yeah,
There's also-
kind of.
kind of. There's also an additional Maelstrom missions done on top of,
And kill points.
and kill points is
Yeah.
another thing as well.
But it's quite difficult to dig points out of it because on kill points maybe you'll get a lot, but you're not going to generate much board control because you just can't walk into certain places of the board because there's so many models in your way, right?
Yeah.
So you end up, it's quite difficult for you to drop to not get points on that list, as in get 0 points out of 20, because in every game you have a sliding scale of points between 20 and 0 of how many points you can get. So I don't see that dropping like it won't get 20 points, but it won't get 0 if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. So it's a list designed intentionally to get kind of like a mod to take.
yeah.
I imagine also to take on very hard lists
Yeah.
and not let them get 20s.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Pretty
Okay. Is there a name for a list like that?
We called it Grot Shame when I was running it.
No. So not the. No. Sorry. I more mean the
Oh,
archetype.
right, yeah.
As opposed to.
We did have Predator and Prey lists, but I can't remember which way round they were, and we haven't used those terms for a while. So normally we just call it like a defender. It depends on what they want to do with it though, and the pairings, because they could always just not. Because what you can do is you put an army down, and your opponent picks 2 to play against it, and you pick one of those 2. But you're not fussed about matchup, so you're just fulfilling the role of one of those 2 lists that you put forward because no one wants to play it because you're not getting 20 points.
Right. Okay. Makes loads
Cool.
of sense.
Shall I move on to the
Hold
second
on.
one?
I'd like to talk about it more.
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah, because it's not like so. It's really obviously it's a ton of grots. We don't think it would do particularly well in normal match play.
No, because if you're building extreme lists, you can probably kill 200 odd 2+ body toughness 2 bodies.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? Like, but surely that there's also going to be lists there that are just going to be able to cream through that as well.
But you can control the pairings to a degree, right?
Right. Okay. That's very interesting. And I guess that's quite a polarizing amount.
So, like, you wouldn't want to play Death Watch with this. If someone puts down Death Watch to defend, you do not pair the Gretchen against it. Because the Death Watch with Assassins will kill you.
Yeah. Okay. That's very, very interesting. I quite like the concept of it being. I like the idea that what it does is it doesn't like try to win or just defend in a very resilient way. What it tries to do is just cap 3 points off a 20-0 normal list.
Yep.
Because going into this, like Nick, this is a conversation for you because I know there are some things Tom can't talk about. Going into this, you would have to expect that they're both the Eldar, Drukhari, Death Watch, Thousand Sun, Knight lists are all very devastating.
It depends on the Eldar list, though. Again, it comes back to the build conversation we were having a second ago. So if you're taking the Eldar plane list, right, it doesn't do anything against the Gretchen because you don't have a number of shots and you can't go wherever you want.
Yeah, my point is that like those are, I would expect to be the armies that I would expect to see in every team, apart from if they were trying to be like super janky and clever, right?
Yeah.
But I would expect to be seeing those. But what's really interesting about that is that doesn't play into most of their strengths unless there's a very different build. Mm-hmm. Like, which you got any? Because you've done team composition list building before, Nick. What do you make of it?
Well, I've went to one 40k team event and it wasn't sort of like the ETC level team building. We just built 4 strong lists that we're quite comfortable with. So we didn't really go to this kind of level of extreme lists.
Yeah.
Particularly. So, I don't know.
Oh, I do wonder as well, especially because it's an 8-man team environment as well. Like,
yeah, and as was a 4-man team. So the matchup process was much shorter with 4 people. I felt after the end of it, you could you could reasonably try and engineer 2 out of the 4 matchups. The other 2 were a little bit out of your control.
Yeah.
I felt anyway, just from my experience that
Well,
way.
Which is why you end up having 2 lists like this list that are just there to take a bad matchup on the chin and then try and get points out of it.
Yeah.
Danos makes a good point in here. So am I right in assuming, Tom, that you can never have a completely skewed listed team, as you can't get perfect pairings?
I don't know what that means.
So effectively, imagine you could have 8 utterly skewed to the maximum. So for instance, this is just 200.
As many grots as possible.
No, you can.
In 2000.
You can do that.
Do you tend to find that teams have, especially because you've looked at all the team lists, right?
Yeah.
Are they always 8 absolutely extreme polar lists, or are there like 4 in there and then?
Sometimes it's a mix. So it depends on what you define by extreme. So you can skew it to the extreme
Would you describe this as extreme?
It's extreme to the point of being just utterly defensive. It's extreme because when you think
extreme
extreme,
version of that, right?
When you think of extreme, you think of, oh well, my list does this like super well, and it's going to smash you with it. And it's like, well, this thing does something extremely well, and it's going to just cock block you entirely.
That's extreme, right?
Yeah, it's very extreme. Well, how dare you? So
that's myself in my own dating history. Apparently, according to diagnosis about my hair. Now my hair is more acceptable for people.
More normal.
Yeah, more normal.
When Dick's telling you that, then you've got to listen to him.
Yeah, I
Man.
do love Dick though, which is probably what's held me back from dating. So
He's not interested in you, Rob. So
no.
move on.
So you think
Stop going on about
It's
it.
done. You need to leave it alone.
So would you say? So you said that there's a nice mix normally, and not always an 8, like a team of 8 with 8 polarized lists.
Sometimes it makes I don't think my list is particularly polarized.
Right.
Because it's got lots. It's got like, oh, here's some boys and here's some tools. Yeah. It's not like, oh well, I'm just gonna run at you with 200 boys and just laugh in your face, and either you can deal with them or you can't. Like my list last year was extreme. My list last year was 3 gallants, and it's gonna run into your face, and if you can kill the gallants, you win. If you can't, you lose. So you're entirely at the behest of a pairings process. Because if you get a pairing whereby you can just do that, then you win. And if you get one where you can't just do that, you just got to hide.
That's really interesting, actually. Right. It's really interesting putting a lot more of the onus into the pairings, game. Because effectively, like what you're like, let's say, I'm not saying that this is true, but just as a thought experiment, it's really interesting to think that like if you've got a percentage chance to win, and you've got you could put 80% of it into the list writing, like these are 8 competent lists, and then only 20% of the pairing. But actually, it's like we could actually make weaker lists, not weaker if they get bad matchup lists, but that our chances to win are all more based in the pairings.
Yeah,
that's actually really interesting because it does mean that you end up with weaker, not weaker. They have bigger weaknesses, but also greater strengths, and then you're all about get that pairing.
It's entirely division of labour, though, right? You've got 8 lists that do all these individual things super well, and then when they come together as one, then they just do all of the tasks.
That's really fascinating. That's really interesting. I really like that.
It's good fun.
Okay, cool. Nick, any final thoughts? Just super happy. I'm happy that it is called the Gretchen Revolutionary Force. I imagine all ETC players are super narrative gamers.
Yeah, I have names written on the bottom of all my Gretchen.
Every single one.
I did until I got 60 more Gretchen, and then I just left it.
So this is on your original 10 Gretchen.
Yes.
How many Gretchen do you have names on the bottom of?
10.
Okay, all right.
And now I have 92.
You're a fucking idiot. I have names on all of my Gretchen. How at 10? I have it on 10.
It was all of my Gretchen at one point.
Oh my
God.
Thank you very much. Chapter Master Rob is looking like a birthday Primaris model.
You're getting
you look like a Primaris Lieutenant.
I really should take my hat off more.
We should do a Primaris Lieutenant Rob for the masses. I love it.
And then Davy Chefsabo says that's the best thing. And Archeon says it's like that movie Moneyball. Have you seen the movie Moneyball?
I don't even know that was a movie.
It's got Brad Pitt in. It's fantastic. It's also got Fat Shia LaBeouf. What's his name?
Shia LaBeouf.
No, Fat Shia LaBeouf.
Oh,
he's also in Superbad.
Jonas Hill.
Yeah, that's him. Right, next up.
I saw him in War Dogs the other day. That's a
great film.
Good film. Yeah.
Real good film. Have you watched War on Everyone? You should watch that. That's fantastic. Anyway, let's get on with the.
Just had to very quickly bully someone for not watching the stream
Next
in the
list.
League of Knights chat.
Oh, really?
So the next list is a Norwegian list,
run
by a man called.
His name is.
Oh my god!
Mate,
we can do this.
It's Marius
Warazin.
Wazarium.
We're just going to call him Marius Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thanks, Marius. Wow.
Thanks, Marius Wow. So he's running a list that I think is pretty typical of all the Harlequin builds that we're seeing at VTC.
Excuse me. Excuse me while I focus intently on this.
So this is the Harlequin detachment that you're seeing everywhere.
Yes, please tell me that. Oh wait, Viking D says that we nailed it. You nailed the name.
Yeah.
He said
nice.
You guys absolutely fucking smashed it. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Yeah. So HQ1 is a Shadow Seer with some powers I don't recognise. Then he has a Solitaire, a unit of 6 Skyweavers, a unit of 2 Skyweavers, and another unit of 2 Skyweavers.
Who is he? Me from last year.
And you either see that list, that detachment, or you see the thing with the Death Jesters as the sniper character.
Yes.
And then you normally see that paired with a Dracaria detachment. And that's either some planes and stuff, some Talos and stuff, or some grotesques and stuff.
Not to say that 40k is really in a rut.
So this one is the latter.
Oh, right, the grotesques and stuff.
Yeah, so this one has the grotesques and stuff. So
if you would like to know exactly how this army plays, you can go back and watch our LCO coverage. Not this exact army, obviously, but something like this. You
this
go
is
back and
Colm,
watch
Game 4.
watch Colm, who's the
Scottish ETC team.
Yeah, playing the LCO 5 months ago. It's nice to see the game's moved on.
So he's got a homunculus
Yeah.
with the Vexator mask, which is the thing that makes you fight last.
Does he have Urian Rakarth?
No. Oh, he does.
He does.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Has he got 9 and then 6 grotesques?
No.
Fuck me.
So he's got
more.
a unit of 5 racks
Yeah.
with a hex rifle. Then he's got a unit of 5 racks without a hex rifle. Then a unit of 5 racks also without a hex rifle. Then he has
Racking up them racks.
Yeah.
Then he has a unit of 10 grotesques. Then he has a unit of 9 grotesques.
Oh, okay.
And then he has another unit of 9 grotesques.
Oh, so he's gone all the way in.
He's gone 28 grotesques.
Okay, that
Not
is...
all the way in, he could have 30.
Wow. Okay. So, and then, which is really, like, effectively that plays like a castle build, because you can't get to the bikes,
apart from through the grotesques.
Apart from through the grotesques, and good luck going
it's hard
through
to
those.
get through that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gross amount
What,
of
a
wounds.
toughness 6?
You could call it grotesque.
Are they toughness 6 with the buffs?
Toughness 5, isn't it? It could be toughness 6 or 5. He's
Uh,
got 4
the-
wounds, 4 plus an honourable save.
Yeah,
the
and then
DPR as well.
and they
Yeah.
get the bonuses from the homunculus and Urian Rakarth, who's also.
But Urian Rakarth gives him +1 strength. Oh, right, so you get +2 toughness.
No, you don't, it doesn't stack.
No, so
just
you
from
get
the one.
+1 toughness.
Yeah, +1 toughness.
I thought there was toughness 4 base. I had toughness 5 base. I don't know. And they get +1 strength from Urian Rakarth as well.
Yes, which is very cool.
Yeah.
And then what's really funny is we literally have seen this play in a mirror match.
Except one person had
One had
Talos.
Talos. Yeah, it
One
was
had Talos.
Talos versus Grotesque, and Talos won.
Oh fuck, that's really interesting. Yeah, so why is it that you think this is interesting out of all the ETC list, Tom?
Just because I think it really demonstrates how Harlequins are at the minute. Perceived at the minute as, in the ETC is just kind of like a stick-on army.
Right.
I thought this one was interesting just because it's kind of got a second identity and it's just, here's 28 grotesques, and that's kind of funny. And we've already seen it at LCO, right?
Yeah.
So of all of the lists, I just picked this one. Just because we'd already seen that, so we can quantify it a little bit.
Is it kind of similar to, in a way, the Grot list? Because the guy with Grots was like, I'm going to kind of fill the board with Grots, which is lots of really shit things, whereas he's filling the board to an extent with lots of really tough things.
I think the thing that you have to remember with Talos and Grotesques is that when you're playing them, you deploy them, and then you have to have kind of like a map 4 turns ahead of where you're going to go.
They're quite slow.
Yeah, which makes it kind of tricky for ETC because although it is about board pressure, which it is, you still need to have some stuff standing on different points, which you can do with the Rex squads, which is going to be running around all over the board.
All the bikes, they're quite fast.
All the bikes, but you want to ideally be shooting with those as well. And all the things that are going to be able to kill the Grotesques most likely are going to be mounted on vehicles. Which is why the bikes work quite well as Sindri. So I'm intrigued to see why he's gone for these levels, where he's gone for 28 Grotesques and then he's gone for 10 bikes. I personally might have been more interested in taking a couple more bikes.
Well, I think what's telling about that list is it's not designed for the vehicle killing.
No, it's not. But it's got it in mind, right?
Because what's really interesting about like the Harlequin bike situation is they are absolutely monstrous at taking out vehicles, even vehicles with vulnerable saves, which is how I ran them.
Mortal wounds OP.
All day long. But what's really, really interesting is if you don't see someone maxing it out, that I would actually say that it's a secondary consideration. I would say that you're right that it's interesting to see that Harlequins are just always that attachment.
Yeah.
But it looks like very much that list is what it's orientated is doing the things with the grotesques, and then it's
the bike supplement it, right?
The bike supplement it in a way to do.
Yeah.
Well,
also, what you're ending up doing is you could take the unit of 6 and stick them behind the grotesques, and the other 2 units are like bonus shots, right? And you're using those in the 3 units of Rex to really deny deep striking on the board behind. So you can never actually get to the chaff, and you've always got the kind of backup board presence all over the board to try and score that Maelstrom as well.
Yeah. I think it's why those 2 armies or those 2 detachments work so well together.
Yeah, 100%.
And and it's very much indicative of list building in 40k, right? Like I have a huge strength, grotesques. I'm going to take that to its zenith, and then actually, what's my inherent weakness? Or I kind of would be bothered about this or that, or the Harlequins plug and play that. But whereas if they didn't,
okay, what do we need? What do we need in our team build to flesh out our pairings?
Yeah.
Because
I think the Harlequins in that list are very much, they have a list. Well, they have a couple of like list archetypes that they think that they're going to have to fight.
Yeah.
And the Harlequin bikes are going to do that bit.
You've got another list that can now deal with that night pairing, right?
Yeah. Although what I'm trying to say is I don't think that's for the night pairing, is it? I think what that's for.
No.
Maybe to lock them in combat with the grotesques.
I mean, the grotesques would beat them up,
Yeah.
4+ vulnerable save. The Stompy Feet, even with a Gallant, doesn't really actually do that much.
That's a good point, actually.
So you've got 15 attacks, you're hitting on 2, so you're going to be hitting 12, 13 times. Then you're winning on 3s, so you're winning 8 times, 4 go through, so you kill 2 grotesques.
Yeah, and also don't forget you've got you can make the Harlequin bikes incredibly resilient. They've all got 4 up and vulnerable save. You can make them minus 1 to hit, so you could actually make it so that the range damage on a knight will do very little as well.
Yeah.
So it gives them a good trading potential. So it's really interesting. But that's exactly the list I would expect to see. If I was going to pick 8 lists in a 40k event, I would expect to see that list.
Yeah,
personally.
That's fair.
It's
also using the Harlequin slot as well and the Drakari slot, so you're not using up things like
Because an
Orcs,
important thing to point out is in a team composition of 8, you can only have
each book once.
And
by taking these 2, you're just saying, well, I'm not going to be using these in any other lists, right? So it's not like being greedy and taking all the Eldar factions at one go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That would also be great fun.
That'd be fun.
Russ says, would more ITC secondaries being used over here in the UK maybe help such a stagnated meta?
I don't know. I think ITC missions are the definition of stagnated game.
I would also agree with that. Nick?
Yes. What I would like to see, I can't remember what system it came. They made a change to how the Maelstrom cards work. So you made a deck of cards.
So you make a deck of cards. That's in White Dwarf.
I quite like
I'm
that
going to be
idea.
honest. I haven't had a proper look at it because if I do, I get confused with the ETC this year, right?
Yeah.
So once the ETC is done, I'm going to take a proper sit down, have a look at Chaos Knights. I'm going to have a look at the Maelstrom deck changes, and then I'll be good to go again.
But I like that as an idea. Like you could almost have, because in Magic you pre-build a deck and it's obviously random as it comes out. I quite like the concept of you have a pre-built deck of things that you could achieve in game, but you say you have 10 cards and you draw. There's 6 turns and you draw 1 a turn. So there's 4 every game that aren't going to happen. So you have to think about the composition of the deck cards that you build. I quite like that concept as a thing to spice things up.
Spicy.
I actually think it's quite good. And I was talking to Mikey yesterday, and we were saying that the thing that that isn't fun about Maelstrom is this random factor.
Yeah.
So a more controllable version of that, even if it's because it's still not perfectly non-random.
Yeah.
But it's more controlled. That kind of makes it a little bit more interesting.
So I actually had this debate on Sunday with a guy at the Aslo Convenience GT, and I was saying, okay, so Maelstrom isn't. I don't think Maelstrom's as random as you think it is, because every single Maelstrom card is pretty much predicated on board pressure. Now, occasionally, you may draw a card that says, I need to be stood on objective 1. It just happens to be the one card that your opponent sat on, right? And you're sat on the other 5. It's damn, that kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, you're far more likely to draw a card that you can achieve if you've got heavy board pressure, right? Far more likely. And at the end of the day, even if you can't achieve that card, that's 1 point lost. And then I make the argument that if you've got an issue with this heavily random factor influencing the game so much, in ETC missions you pre-announce what the deployment types are, whereas in ITC you roll it. And I would argue not only is that a more random and more uncontrollable factor, it also has a far bigger impact on the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Nick, what do you think?
What about random deployments?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But I see your
I
point.
don't root for random deployments either. I think that's I think that's something that should be removed from the
I think
game.
we mentioned it last.
I know it's what about it, and saying, "Oh well, how can you criticize Maelstrom but not criticize this?" But
it's an arguable point. I don't think it relieves the pressure.
No,
of
of course it
argument
doesn't.
of randomness.
But I'm happy to make the argument for Maelstrom in isolation as well. That's perfectly fine. But it's just one of those other things that you're building towards because it's entirely about ability to pressure the board and pressure it both. With regards to a huge amount of space and pressure it heavily in specific pinpoints.
Well, going back, and I know you listened to a bit last week, talking about the chapter-approved missions as opposed to anything else.
Yeah.
What's key about those is, and me and Nick talked it through.
Listen to the vital intelligence one was a good point.
Yeah,
right?
you have to go and get stuff.
Yeah.
Which does, like Dude Our Day say in the chat, and also hi Dude Our Day, says Maelstrom is a great way to neutralise some of the static gunline play, but also so is just basic chapter-approved missions. That is a way to.
Because you've got to have a scrum in the middle, though, right?
Also, Fulgrin's ball gag is now stalking us, which is sweet.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Kurt Cabbage says we need more here. We need hidden agendas, not just win more agendas. They need to be counterintuitive to regular strategy to apply different pressure to gameplay, which is a really good argument.
Yeah. So at James Workshop, we've recently started a new Mordheim campaign, and a thing that we've added this time is secret missions. So each game you get 2 secret missions.
I quite like that with open play, actually. I quite like the secret missions.
Yeah, they're not a massive bonus, but it just gives you something else to play for.
I agree with you. I actually think a key element also is because not only do you have like the risk reward conversation that you've got to do when you're trading units on the tabletop, like so I'm going to attack that, but that probably means I'll lose this unit or whatever conversation you're having when you're playing your game. There's also the kind of like hidden in the background, like he's left that open. Maybe that's because he's trying to defend.
Can I fit 5 orc boys in that space?
Oh no, maybe he's trying to defend this other thing, and that's the there's the hidden agenda element of it, which actually is really exciting. And I think like Colonel Cabbage is right, because the thing that we're talking about so this gets lost a little bit if you guys are new listening to the show. I mean, it's pretty late to make that statement. It's quite far in, but one of the things that we talk about when we talk about the game as a conversation, we're kind of like people who review games. Like over, we're not doing like speed runs of 40k.
Nope, who was that?
Dude Our Day is just noted 200 bits plus 20 bits for the new studio. Oh, how does Dude Our Day do about the new studio? Did we say?
I think so.
I think we did. Like,
okay, shit. Anyway, thank you, Dude Our Day. You're an angel. So what we try and do is we review the game holistically from top down, right? That's why we talk about the different gaming systems. Because we play more than one game, all of us.
And even then we review individual games with our dank commentary.
Yes, the dank commentary.
The dank commentary.
And the argument for more interactivity or more, I think more interactivity is the key. I don't think balance is a conversation I ever want to really have.
No.
Like, it's like whatever. Like, it's quite hard to have that conversation when there's so many variables, but interactivity is pretty important. And I don't like the concept of Maelstrom because it's just like, I feel like I'm interacting with a deck of cards and the luck of the card, but I like the idea of a hidden agenda because I feel like I'm interacting with my opponent in trying to do something that he's unaware of, and also like without it being me trying to do a gotcha moment. So it feels like, are you guys finding it quite fun in your Mordheim campaign?
Yeah, it's really fun.
No, cool. All right. Yeah, go for it.
We're going for list number 3?
Yes, please, sir.
Door number 3.
So, door number 3 is a list I played this weekend, actually. So I can talk a little bit about it, because I've played it, and it was nasty. So this is Manny Chima's list for Team England. And he's running Blood Angels and Astra Militarum.
Blood Angels?
So he's got the Katachan Brigade,
this will be very happy,
which is the Emperor's Conclave Infantry Company.
So this is from the...
Vigilist Defiant.
Yep.
So he's got Colonel Ironhand Strachan.
What a badass.
He's got 2 company commanders.
So you've got the one iron hand though, right?
He does. Yeah.
That's so
he's got an entire iron half of his body. It's like Darth Vader. Then he's got a platoon commander.
Another bad guy.
He's got Sergeant Harker.
Yep.
He's got a Ministorum Priest.
Badass, +1 attack to everyone range.
An Astropath. Then he's got 9 units of 10 guardsmen.
It's a lot of lads.
3 scout sentinels.
9 units of 10 guardsmen. Wait, has he got the cavalcade of Bobs?
He's got the cavalcade bobs.
If you guys don't know what that means, we played a game
send
recently.
bobs.
Yeah, where I took many a bob, which
bobs.
was infantry squads with a plasma guy in.
Then he's got 2 squads of 3 mortars.
What's in the 10-man squads? Any special weapons?
Just bobs.
Just lasguns.
No, lasguns. So that means no bobs.
Sent bobs.
Yeah, Bob's got the
no bobs.
plasma gun.
These are Terrys. So then we have more because we've got a second picture. He's got a 3rd squad of mortars. Then he's got another counter-champ battalion, which is the Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company.
Yeah, very popular at the minute, I think.
Yep. Then he's got in there, we have a company commander, a Primaris Psyker with the Night Shroud and the Psychic Barrier, so he gives him about a +1 save.
Mm-hmm. And -1 to hit, that's what.
And -1 to hit. Yeah. Then he has 3 more squads of 10 Terrys.
Yeah, right, nice.
And 3 Wyverns with heavy bolters.
What does it say? Which
Catachan.
regiment they're from? They're all Catachan.
They're all Catachan.
I'm not sure I'm okay with that, but okay.
It's okay.
I mean, he's a pretty good player, so he probably could argue his reasoning.
So I can argue it right now. So then he's got a Blood Angels detachment, a Supreme Commander detachment.
Yeah.
So he's got +25 CP in total, so he's got 28. Then you have 3 captains with jump packs, thunderhammers, and storm shields. So he's got the slam captains.
Oh my god!
And one of them has the angel's wings. Then he has a librarian dreadnought with all the toys.
Yeah.
Then he has another librarian dreadnought with all the toys.
Cool. And does that mean it makes it Blood Angels, or just makes it? It's just super, right?
Well, so he's got 1 Blood Angels attachment and then 2 units.
So basically, what he's doing is he's going, I'm going to make 2 super units.
Well, so here's what he can do.
All these human beings are their power.
Are you ready? This is cool. So he takes.
Kind of like the Emperor's Throne.
He takes the 120 guardsmen.
Yeah.
And he launches them in your face. So he doesn't have the scouts anymore to block.
Yeah.
But he did have scouts. He then mobs up. I don't know what the stratagem's called, but he mobs up the 2 units of 10 guard. Mm-hmm. And then he's got all these shots. And in combat, he's got 3 attacks, strength 4, hitting on 4s with rolling 1s.
Yeah.
So it's a combat guard army. But here's the thing: if I charge it with a unit of boys, so I say I charge with a unit of 20, he can pop a stratagem from Vigilus Defiant, which means that he hits me on death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's getting 60 attacks, hitting on 4s with rolling 1s, strength 4 against my boys. So I can never charge him, because if I do, my orcs are dying.
Wow.
More DACA then, mate. That's what you need.
It's more DACA. You need more
You do
shooting.
need more DACA.
You do.
That's a
but here's the
cool
thing.
list.
He's giving out a 3+ save, potentially, to his dudes.
Yeah.
Because you got 5+, Psychic Barrier, go to ground.
So Psychic Barrier's Psychic Power, and then Go to Ground's Stratagem. So +2
Boom.
To your save in total. But it's only, not in combat, only in shooting.
Only in shooting.
But still pretty good at 3.
And then if I charge it to kill it in combat, then I die in return.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I can't move around as much because he's got the Wyverns from the Emperor's Wrath Artillery Battery. So what he's doing there is he can hit me with Wyverns and then spend a stratagem from Vigilus again to halve my movement.
Oh.
Sorry.
But also...
Can he shoot again with that?
I believe so, but I'm not sure. So what you end up doing with it is, it works weirdly against orcs because I'm Evil Sons. So movement 5, halve it, that's 2.5, round up to 3, +1 movement. So I move 4 inches rather than 6.
Why do you round up? Where does it say you round up?
It's like...
In those rules?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it halves it, it's like, well, round your stats back up to 3. I don't know. It's somewhere. It's in the ECFAQ or something.
Okay.
But it happened to me when someone used Doombolt on my old boys at the Home Nations.
So I mean, reducing your movement's obviously quite big in the game, especially in Maelstrom game where you want to be all over the board.
And when you're dictating the charges because you're a guard melee army.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, that's a really cool list.
Yeah,
especially cool. I also love the concept that he obviously will be spending some CP on the guard squads, and also not forgetting that you can always spend a CP for grenade harness, which is always a laugh.
They'll be giving out some extra relics as well, I guess, because he's got.
Do you think? Obviously, does the trick rely on the priest? Like if someone can snap
priest?
at he's got a priest to give him +1 attack, hasn't he?
Does he? No, he's got a Harker.
And a priest in there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
Where?
A Ministorum priest.
Ministorum priest.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
That gives them all +1 attack.
Yeah, there you go.
So if he gets sniped,
I mean,
it still works. It's just 1 less attack on the board.
I mean, when you get sniped, it means you're playing against I don't think you're playing Eldar because Eldar lists of ETC are planes, or Night Spinners or Fire Prisms. I don't think that if you play Deathwatch, I think they could cause you some issues because they can just hose you down. But if you're Deathwatch, you don't get an anti-Imperium stratagem. No. So a little bit better there.
Which is good.
If you're playing Knights, you can block them in quite well. So even if you're losing your attacks, you're not winning based off attacks against Knights, are you?
No.
So
It's really interesting.
Even against those ones, I think it's still okay.
It's a really interesting list, and again, like fairly polarized to a degree. So
it's very extreme.
So good for a matchup.
Does he
process.
use movement trays?
It's like, fuck, does he use movement trays?
That must take fucking ages to move that.
He's just
army.
rapid.
I'm not
apparently.
commenting on that one.
Okay. So a while to think while
Strong
your
back,
opponent's moving.
strong lower back.
So when we played,
what you need.
I've heard he's a very healthy, quick, resilient man.
I did leech some of his time when we played because he had his Smash Captain. I had my Mega Knobs at the front because it was Dawn of War, and I couldn't fit him anywhere else. And he was like, "Oh, your Mega Knobs there. Can I charge him?" And it's like, so I just look at him and say, "Yeah, you can charge him." I'm going to smile at him, and he goes, "I feel like there's something going on there." So he starts asking all these questions like, "How many wounds do I have? How many attacks do I have? How far do you heroically intervene? Is there anything that can hit me? What's the shooting?" And he spends like 10 minutes asking these questions. And then he finally goes, "Screw it, I'm going to go for it." He charges his Smash Captain across. He kills like 4 Mega Knobs. But he looks up at me as if I'm going to pull off some trick. And I just smile at him and say, "Yep, carry on."
Got him.
I got Rob as well.
That's great.
Psychological warfare.
Oh, Dude on A, thank you very much.
Bless him. I love playing Manny. He's such a good dude. I love playing Manny. He's such a good dude. We had a bit of a tiff in that game, but it wasn't anything personal. It was just like about time and stuff. But it was like, I know. I love playing Manny. He's a good dude.
Manny, if you're out there and you're listening, I will happily lend you some of my movement trays.
He won't need movement trays. He'll be fine.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Fine.
Fine.
Don't
Be
want
like
it. Don't want
You can buy those Games Workshop ones, which are higgledy-pickledy though.
Nuh-uh. Don't do that. That's
Use some of the War of the Roses ones, not War of the Roses, War of the Rings ones.
No, we've got There's a few good companies. We'll do a show on them.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think what would be quite
Alternative movement trays.
Ageofhobby.com.
Age of
That's where I
Hobby.
got
We
mine.
should do a segment where we review alternative hobby products. Speaking of which, I used the super glue activator today.
The what?
The super glue activator.
The
today.
magic spray.
The magic spray. And how magic is it?
It's magic. I thought I didn't have any left in the bottle, and then I sprayed it. I was like, ooh.
And it is magic.
Fancy.
Yeah.
If you want to be really cheap, you can do the same with just water.
There you go.
How do you do that?
Just a spray bottle with water in.
So you spray water, so it's just
'Cause
water.
effectively,
Yeah, you spray water
the way,
on super
the way
glue.
super glue works is it dehydrates to form a bond.
Are you telling me that the bottle of magic spray I bought is water?
No.
No.
It's better than water because if you use water,
It's special water.
It can like frost it up and it dries in more of a lump. Whereas
Yeah.
if you just use super glue and
Magic
activate
spray.
it, it'll dry more naturally like it would. Like it won't leave as much of a
That's fair.
mark.
Agreed. Okay, so some really interesting lists. Also, we didn't touch on it, but like the concept of running around with that many CP on a bloody
Bloody
Smash
funny,
Captain
isn't it? Yeah.
Oh.
Is
Use all the CP.
He's going to fight when he dies all the time, isn't
he's
he?
going to fight and fight and fight and fight all the times when he dies.
I'm
and
gonna
have
get
a
smote
billion
and dies.
attacks and charge everywhere.
Yeah.
And now that you can fly across things again, that's exciting. So Smash Captains. Wait, hold on. Smash Captains are back.
Did they ever leave?
I don't know if they went anywhere.
I don't. No, they took fly off everyone in the
yes.
game.
And then they
to
put it
stop
back.
Smash Captains. Yeah,
That's
didn't
true.
stop them,
Yeah.
and then they were like, "Oh,
Fuck it. We'll try something else.
okay."
Alright.
So really interesting. Tom, good luck at the ETC.
Yeah, it should be good fun, man. Looking forward to
I hope
it.
you enjoy it. Please let us know when you come back.
We've still got a
obviously-
couple of weeks, though. Like,
Yeah,
I'll be around.
I know. I'm just saying. Good luck. Nick, we've been talking. Are we gonna look at the nights? Or are we gonna wait till next week?
We can have a little quick chat about nights, I guess.
Okay.
Like what? Because obviously we don't get sent stuff for free because Rob told them
No.
Even though we all want
I like
free
how
shit.
you really pointed the fucking finger at me there. You were like, Rob said no.
We all want free shit, but Rob said no. Apparently it's not okay.
It's not okay because then we'll end up biased.
And we'll end up, we'll end
Like-
up just.
Exactly.
I mean, I still think we'll call it shit, right?
What? No, we'll call it good. No, we give fair review. Someone actually
call a spade a spade
actually,
is what we're saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a shout out actually because you guys both did a shout out and this is real sweet. From I'm gonna read out his name. Well, I could just read out anyone because they're all amazing. But Alexander at Bazukuna on Twitter, who was just like, I listened to your show. He was saying, and he's like, I really thought you guys were going to be super negative because he got suggested from another show to come and listen to us. But he was like, actually, you guys just give really fair and balanced review. And I was like, that's nice. It's nice that you get that because we're super positive about the game. You're travelling to another country to play. Nick, you're playing at an event in 2 weeks. I'm literally surrounded by fucking Warhammer that I own.
This is true.
In a studio where I talk about Warhammer all the time. Yeah. So, like, we're all in love with the game.
You could use the camera to show everyone a guided tour of all your models, or you could not.
You're not allowed to do that. It's too much. But we're all in love with it. But like we're not shy about saying
Yeah.
because if we don't complain, how's it going to improve?
Exactly. If I don't constantly complain every week about Warhammer battle boards and the space at Warhammer World, then it's never going to change.
It's never going to change. I would argue that we've got line of sight blocking terrain because of our complaints.
Yeah, Ivan did a salty tweet to Steve Wren, who I've known for a number of years on the hobby scene, and I really like him. And I did a salty tweet to him about the battle boards and the space in Warhammer World. Because I'm moaning at him because I want things to change.
And he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, and he's like the events manager now. So
he is. And he's a lovely fella.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But also, change the wrong battle boards, they suck.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop either. Loki says that there's a good article on the Chaos Knights Facebook group which has leaked Codex. If you want to look, I will look at that later. But because we generally don't tend to be,
because we're not playtesters or get stuff early.
I mean,
we don't have a copy of the rulebook yet to do a full review.
I left that Chaos Facebook page because someone tried to argue that a Defiler Power Claw was a power weapon, and therefore you could put it on a sergeant.
It's got the word power in, Tom.
It does. I think once I knew the guy from my local club.
Oh my god, my consumption is taking me. I feel like I'm in Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so what do we know about?
So what we know?
Yeah.
What do we know
about the Chaos Knights?
We know less than playtesters do, and less than people who get it free. But we know there's two things you can do.
Take knights.
There's no householders.
Yeah.
There's no households. There is Ironclast and Infernal or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then there's just traits for those two. One has a +1 to hit and +1 attack when you charge.
That's the Infernal one, right?
Yeah. And then the other one, they have like a random buff that they can do at the start of the movement phase. They can roll a d3 and they get like, I think it's either +1 weapon skill, +1 ballistic skill, and then or +1. One's a movement buff.
So far, I'm very underwhelmed.
Well, no, I said it wrong. So one's a movement buff.
Yeah.
One is a weapon buff. So a strength +1 strength and +1 damage to your weapon.
Okay,
that's pretty nice.
That's really good.
And then I've lost it. I did have it somewhere.
And
then one is +1 to its toughness, so you can make a toughness 9 for a turn.
Randomly though,
yeah. We also know. So there's only two. There's not like in the normal night book they have Questor Imperialis and Questor Mechanicum, and then there's lots of different household traits you can have. It's just one or the other. But they also have like a free blades type thing.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, that's better for Chaos Knights than Imperial. Because we had a discussion ages ago about it. You hated the free blades. We kind of liked a little bit of a setup of the free blades.
I can't remember, but that sounds very right.
Yeah,
there was a few things that we thought they were okay, but it sounds like from what I've heard that the Chaos free blade stuff is actually quite good.
Okay.
So there could be a few builds just like on one night as a free blade using some predetermined buffs.
Yeah, and then maybe demons or something.
Ixtab says Dreadblades are good in his opinion, so that'll be fun to read next week. One has a crafty. Dude, I say says one has a crafty remove invuln saves relic for a turn.
Yeah, so there's a cornate one, so it's once per battle.
Yeah. You
activate it. The opponent you're fighting doesn't get invulnerable saves, but neither do you. So it's kind of like a mutual annihilation.
Like a kamikaze knight.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, if you're striking first, right?
Particularly if you're fighting, if you've only got a 5-up in combat, or a regular knight doesn't have a 5-up in combat.
Yeah.
So if you're fighting against someone who's got like a 3+ invulnerable save,
Bullgrains.
Then you're fucking them over.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
grotesques.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those Talos that we're talking about, that fucking Smash Captain with 28 CP supercharging his ass.
But you got to get. It's situational though, because you've got to be able to get that knight into that combat. Because if they know you've got that and they've got big unit Talos or Grotesque, then they'll probably do all they can to avoid
that.
It
Equally,
chaff you up.
that changes how they're playing though, right? Because what you're ending up doing is with those units like Grotesque and Bullgrains, what you want to be doing with those units is running them center and controlling most of the board. Because now you get to have the biggest threat range possible. For example, if I'm in the back corner, I've got like a bubble, a range bubble, right? Well, 3/4 of that bubble now are off the board. So I'm not getting any value out of that. I'm just getting a corner. So what you're doing is you're taking those slow, durable units, sticking them in the middle of a board, and suddenly you're affecting quite a lot of the board, right? So if you are using a unit that way, and you come up against one of these knights that removes your invulnerable save, you can't actually do that anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're in like
just its very presence.
Unless there's a big ruin, in which case you can stand in the middle of it and the knight can't touch you, and you go Nino at it.
They do. I don't know if the Chaos Knights have it, but the Imperial ones do have a attack person in ruin stratagem.
But
so
it's
if you're
like,
within 2 inches of the edge.
Yeah, so that's like a level though, right? Whereas,
But I don't
so
think
what
you
I
might
was
be able
doing,
to attach them on the bottom floor.
you could if it's 2 inches,
they're
but it's an
within
extra
2
1
inches
inch
of the
for
edge.
it. Yeah.
Ruined 40k. I still think that's true.
Yeah, we just want.
I mean, it adds extra
boxes.
complexity.
Yeah,
which I quite like.
I just want there to be. I just want to play in like
Hills and forests.
Death Worlds.
Please
Yeah.
no forests.
No forest, but hills.
Not wildwoods. Very, very.
Well, hills
dense
also ruin it because your
forests.
models slide down the side.
I guess so.
I think we just need craters.
So overall, it looks like it could be a really interesting codex. Apparently, so from what I've seen, is there definitely aren't many options to the way to build the Chaos Knights.
We haven't seen the full book yet, though,
like
have
the
we?
standard knight can just have anything you want. So you could have 2 double Avenger Gatling cannon, double battle cannon,
Yeah.
one of each,
Right.
or the gallant version. And then there's also a specific gallant version that they have that has an extra rule.
I don't think it'll be called a gallant, though, will it?
No, it's like it's a chaos name. It's like the Defiler or
The
Destructor or something.
spiky, stabby Knight of Death.
Oh,
Yeah.
exciting!
Rampager, that's what it's called.
I'm going to review this, and I'm going to wear some like fucking My Chemical Romance emo face paint next week, and just
Should we all
get
go
really
chaos?
into it.
Should we all go
Yeah, I'm
chaos?
like my Defiler and my Rampager are going to smash things. Hi, Pokey John. By the way,
I'm not
hello.
turning up next week in black clothing because I'm just going to get so warm.
In here.
Yeah.
It is warm. And then Exam says there's a double Gatling cannon ignoring to hit modifiers. Fuck you, old
Yeah.
flyers.
Yeah.
So are you
that's
telling me
pretty
there's a Dark Reaper Knight?
Yes.
A Dark Reaper Knight,
pretty
Tom.
cool. Yeah, I don't know if it's in the. Obviously, we haven't got the book, so I don't know whether that relic could match up with the random buff where you can get +1 strength and damage to your weapon. But always hitting on 3s, Avenger Gatling cannon with 12 shots at strength 7,
Can you
damage
get a
3.
preceptor equivalent that gives you reroll 1s?
Yes, I think so, but
If
that's
you
only
played
to
40K,
war dogs.
You
It's
can
only
always
to
find
war
some
dogs,
dickhead
though.
who's going to give you reroll 1s if you're within 6 inches of him.
But not to knights, though. I don't think they can have access to
That's
it.
very sad.
But there's also loads of cool things where you can get wounds back and all kind of stuff. So yeah, there's lots of cool things to look at, but we don't have access to the source material yet.
Not yet. Next
Okay.
week.
Oh, we'll do it next week then.
But
It sounds exciting.
double Gatling cannon was always cool before this codex, so I
Yeah.
think it's going to be even cooler now.
I don't think so because all the plebs are going to start using it.
They are.
Well, how do you guys
I think
Twitch
it,
chat?
it looks like the most obvious, awesome thing to do with the knight.
Agreed. Also, Twitch chat and also you two. How do you guys? Obviously, we've had Imperial Knights for a while.
Yes.
And their ruination of the game is a great conversation to have
We
another
had that
time.
a couple of weeks ago. didn't
Yeah,
we?
but long story short, like, are you excited about the release of more, and especially some for a different faction?
I'm scared.
You're scared.
I'm scared.
What do you think?
I'm really fucking excited for Chaos Knights because because I've got a massive Chaos Marine collection. I do play it as Imperium from time to time, but on the whole,
literally painted it as
I'm a
Legion of the
Chaos.
Damned. Yeah.
On the whole, I'm a Chaos player, and my knights when I originally painted them were meant to be like a bit chaotic-y.
So you could use them as both.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if I could play them, either I'd play them as Chaos. But at the time,
Yeah.
Imperium had a Codex,
Use them
and
as
the
well.
Chaos Knights didn't. They had
It's
Yeah,
shit
the
rules.
PDF.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to these rules and seeing what kind of soup you can do with my Chaos Marines or Bloodletters. I had a quick look at a list the other day. I was hoping to see if I could fit my Bloodletter bomb battalion in with 3 gallants.
That's what you were shelving that for a bit.
I
Yeah,
was.
but now
I
if-
was.
but if there's something
if
that
there's
brings it
something
back
cool
out,
that makes it cool. Because I was really hoping to fit 3 gallants and then a Bloodletter bomb list in, but I don't think you can fit it in at 1750.
Yeah.
But that'd be cool. 3 massive Chaos Knights running at you, and then also some Bloodletters. charging at you
Bloodletters.
as
Yeah,
well.
that would be amazing. I do conceptually like that. Like, I really like demon engines, like in the lore.
Lord Discordance.
Yeah, I just like.
Someone's got
I
those.
really like Dark Mechanicum. I like Mechanicum anyway, and Mechanicum is like.
We all know Cult Mechanicum is your favourite faction, right?
Yeah, and they're a gnat's bollock away from like chaos at the best of times anyway. They're pretty heretical. So I'm pretty excited about Chaos Knights. Long story short, and I do like the idea. We see so much that's so imperial, and I'm not just talking about Space Marines. Like scenery is imperial, like Sector Imperialis is like Sector Mechanicus. Like it's nice to see some big kits, very chaosy. Like it would be nice to see a more chaotic style kind of like world, like 40k in the future. I would say.
While you're talking about Cult Mechanicus, the game is being advertised in Discord. It's called Mars Warpace.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so like for me, I'm quite excited about it. Like I'm hype. That'd be fun. Viking says there's a Thousand Sons player. He says, fuck yeah. Russ says there'll be another surge of knights, but as Chaos, hopefully they'll be sorted at the end of the 20 season Games Workshop, screwing everyone by nerfing them.
And now ETC teams can take 2 knights.
They can. Yeah. That's interesting. In team competition, you could have 2
night lists.
2 night lists.
Oh dear.
At least this was released. At least in this book, there's no because one of the big problems with the previous night book was that they had access to a 3+ invulnerable save on a massive shooty boat that just killed everything. I don't think this. I think they can get a 4+ invulnerable save somewhere, but it's probably rarer.
Knights are still dictating the meta a bit because the number of teams that are just taking loads of lists which specifically deal with knights because they're such an out there faction.
But at least they're not crazy resilient with a 3+ invulnerable save rocking around.
No.
At least.
Yeah, they are less than they were.
No.
Yeah.
Although Tom, just as can I get reroll 1s? In fact, there's a stratagem to let you reroll all.
Yes,
hits.
there is.
That's dumb.
Someone clip that as a reaction. They should just do that for playtesting.
We should have that as our
read rules out to us 3, and then our reaction should be.
But they've got some cool. I don't know if there's any other stratagems like this. Some of the vows that they have are quite cool. I don't know if there's any other stratagems. I can't think of any off the top of my head quickly where you play a stratagem at the start of the game and you make a certain vow, and then as you achieve that in the game, you get a buff that stacks.
Space Wolf's Warlord trait.
Oh yes, yeah.
Boom.
But that's not a
That's
stratagem.
the only but it's the only memorable thing in the entire book.
Yeah.
But it's a cool stratagem.
Yeah,
though.
it's a cool idea. I
It's a very
like
cool
that.
idea.
Because that's almost like a secondary mission kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that a hint that Russ is a heretic now?
I mean, I'm not saying so, but
Dennis says the faction says that knights are likely to go up as the percentage of being used. Right now, it's at 20% of all lists have at least a single knight. So
Everyone has a tractor, dude.
Huh?
Everyone has a tractor.
Not the faction, the Falcon. It's 25 to 30%, but I haven't actually ever heard any stats on the stats show.
no, just sound bites from people.
Just sound bites.
Are we just going to flame Val every week?
I'll literally message him in a minute and tell him that I'm flamed.
If
in
it was
at the end.
40k soundbite show, then that'd be accurate.
The 40k soundbite centre.
I did legit film 3 sound bites. I did record 3 sound bites.
Did you record any stats?
I said there were lots of orcs, and at one point there were 4 orc lists on the top 5 tables. That's a stat.
That's a stat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
you go.
That's a number.
There you go.
My usual feeling around stats is they should be number orientated.
This is why I'm popular as fuck, dude.
Because you know numbers.
I know a number.
You know what a number will do. Look, so everyone, I'm really, really sorry, but I think we're going to have to end the show fairly soon because I'm literally...
He's leaking.
Yeah.
Bob's
if
brain
anything,
is
I've got worse.
pouring out of his face right now.
You should. Yeah.
Someone in the chat, Russ, has said Rob is dying, but not very quietly, and it's true. So I don't think it's making particularly good viewing watching me slowly have the flu on air. So I want to apologise to both the show hosts. Apologies to you too.
No, that's all good.
Alright.
I'm not going to infect any kids over the next few days, so I'm fine.
It's weird. It's a weird thing to say.
I'm not either. Don't worry.
Are you gonna hit him?
Probably am I. Congratulations, Flukesy, by the way, on getting all your painting done before a tournament, a day before.
Whoa, someone actually did that.
Yeah.
Well done.
Valerie says Imperial Knights 65% win rate, and now we'll have Chaos Knights with a 90% win rate if the stratagems are not crazy expensive.
Pog.
So that's very fun as well.
Yeah.
Yikes! Clip that. Says do donate. Agreed.
Do we
Please put
need
that
a
out.
specific? Do we have a donation sound yet?
No, because it would be super annoying for the podcasters.
I love it.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching!
We just
They'd be
had it there.
Also, podcasters, stay hydrated. So thanks you two for being on the show. Appreciate it loads.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show, Rob.
Well, no, that's very nice of you. Thanks. Please join us
you did
again
good.
next week. We might have an announcement next week of we might be covering a 40k event very soon. Before we go to the capital city, Bloodbath, and do some coverage there, so that'll be quite exciting.
Spicy.
Right, with all of the memes. So we'll let you know about that. That's really exciting. And obviously, we're going to be doing some 40k coverage in the future. Chaos Knights next week, gentlemen.
Yes.
Yep, Chaos Knights. We'll do a proper
also,
rundown.
a Codex. How long has it been since we've had a fucking
Gene Stealer
Codex?
Cult, and we didn't even review
No, we
it
had
properly.
the Chaos one, but did that count?
No, we didn't really review it properly, though, did we?
And also, where is that quite obviously coming soon? Space Marine Codex.
In China, I'd imagine, in a kind of
September.
shipping container.
Yeah.
When
See,
the
there's
new
the
edition
sound.
comes.
This-
You reckon
That's what I'm talking
September
about.
with a new edition?
Yeah.
In September.
Yeah.
Nikos has still got that bet on. Tom, what odds are you giving him at that bet being true?
I'm going to keep my same odds. I gave him like a 40 or a 35%, didn't I?
Okay, Twitch chat, what do you guys think before we go? Social services will go nuts with the clip. Yes, I know which one. Got a beast as diagnosis. PokeJohn, thanks everyone. No, thank you, PokeJohn. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're a podcast, stay hydrated and thank you. If you're a subscriber on Patreon or Twitch, thanks very much. You guys are wonderful. If you are watching on YouTube, leave some comments and we'll respond.
Yep. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll be back. Same time, same place.
Probably.
Same Twitch URL.
Same cameras.
Tom, do you want to read out the Twitch URL?
HTTP